We in there. I'm gonna knock these stickers off. All right, people, what up? Y'all just jumped in with Heroes No Capes, episode 3.
Loving that intro, man. Loving that intro, man. That's fire, bro. That's fire.
Yeah, so that's our intro. We messing around with some stuff, trying to figure it out. Like I was telling Ego, we y'all can see us kind of evolving the channel. Y'all on this journey with us. We taking it seriously. All right, so we plan to have something that is produced to the quality of, I guess, other podcasts or major podcasts that you watch on a consistent basis. But for right now, we rigging it. All right, we ghetto over here. It's only up though. I am the abomination known as AJ. I pretty much hate everything, especially that's happened or been coming out recently with mainstream media and the adaptations that I love, seeing them bastardized. My man Ego here, my co-host. How are you, sir? What up?
I'm doing fantastic. I am Ego, E-G-O. I kind of like to break down what's going on, tell you why things are, how they started, and where they're potentially going.
All right. He is the educated source. I'm just a guy out here I'm just wild. I'm just giving it to you. I'm the common man. I'm giving it to them. And, Ego, like I said, he's here to provide bros a wealth of knowledge. He's elevated my thinking, expanded my mind on a lot of things, helped me to be truly woke to what's really going on in this world and yada yada yada. Something going on in this world that we want to talk about that I was knowledgeable of, that I've been speaking on for a long time. Some I've been noticing in and again the things that I've consumed, the entertainment, the movies, the comic books, video games. And that Ego apparently was doing the same thing, his own research before we even knew each other. So just through that common ground, or like that us being able to have that perspective and having our third eyes, whatever eyes we got open to some stuff, then we came together and, like I said, we gave y'all this podcast, and this is for us, for y'all. That's why we heroes, but no capes. We ain't trying to save nobody. We just trying to give it to you like it is. What you do with it, that's on you. What you choose to consume or to contribute to, that's on you. All right. Speaking of giving expanding minds or opening minds, children are some of the most open, spongiest minds there are. Okay.
Agreed.
And we got a lot of stuff going on that are influencing our children. Let's talk about that. Do we want to start out with the toys or the agenda, Ego?
You know, you love agendas before everything else. Go with the agenda. Start with that.
Let's get to the agendas. All right. So a lot of people may know, a lot of people may not. Disney, I'm going to say this. A lot of us have accused, Disney of pushing certain agendas in the media that we've been consuming by them. Hell, they own damn near every fucking thing. So you can Disney animation with the Disney's Marvel with the comics, and then you got Disney Star Wars, whatever else Disney on. Like I said, I can't keep up, and I can't enjoy and love everything. But they've been kind of dropping these little signs, dropping these hints, a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, they pushing black characters to the front that were historically white characters. They making a whole lot of characters gay. You can tell they're gay because they got the little haircut with the little shaved side. They got a lot of swoop. Most of the time, it's gonna be colored. So yeah, a lot of that stuff is going on. And not the most recent example of it, I'll say this. One of the newer Disney movies to come out, Pixar's Buzz Lightyear. It's not out, but what I mean is like, upcoming movies as far as like main titles that people really know, people are going to flock to because of the branding. But by Lightyear having something pre-established, is going to get more eyes on it. And this was, I'm gonna share my screen here.
All right, go ahead.
Again, this is old. This has already been brought to a lot of people's attention. But it's relevant, okay? And then just the timing of it. So this is an article from Variety, okay, talking about the same-sex kiss restored in Pixar's Lightyear following staff uproar over the "Don't Say Gay" bill. Okay, now the reason this is important because people are still talking about this bill. They still on they they hate Governor Ron DeSantis because he talking about can't say gay, don't mention gay, don't bring no attention to gay. You got that's all the fuck these rich ass people are saying, thinking they doing something by saying this shit. But that's what you got happening. So I definitely feel like it's still relevant, especially because it is still a part of the agenda. It's still in the current one of the current things going on. It seems like there's a war going on in fucking Disney's animated, movies such as Pixar is one of the generals. And this is another war they winning because bam, they got this shit approved. Or better yet, after Disney's backlash for I think not saying something about this bill or not, I'm just gonna say not giving the response that the LGBT community wanted them to give. Then they was like, hold on, we with you, we gonna say something, and better yet, we gonna put this kiss in it that we had took out originally to let y'all know that we here for y'all. We got y'all, we love y'all, we support y'all. Gay. All right, I was talking a long time. What you got? You got anything to say on that before I start reading?
I mean, it seems that all the liberals seemed appeased by them putting something back in that they actually cut. So the fact that they cut it out meant, well, hey, if we show this overseas, it's going to hurt our bottom line. And so liberals might see this as a victory, but it's more of an appeasement. It doesn't know they're paying attention to that because Disney is a global brand. You still have to show this in Saudi Arabia. You still have to show this in China. You still have to show this in several other countries. And their culture doesn't align with that scene in the movie, so therefore it's taken out. So it seems like you're just trying to get back a part of your viewership that wasn't going to watch it. But when this goes overseas, they're not going to show this scene at all. And I guess the main problem that I have is that whenever they're doing these firsts, when it either comes to same-sex things, it's always the minority characters. I remember when Eternals dropped last year, what was everyone raving about? Weren't raving about the characters explaining where their origins were or the fact they weren't involved in Endgame at all. It was, oh, look, we've got 9 characters, but we're going to focus on the 2 that are same-sex. And who are they? It was the black guy. So now they're doing the same thing with this. We're doing the same-sex kiss between 2 lesbians. Hey, it's the black girl. So I don't like the fact that every time they're trying to make these first, they're trying to double up on minority groups. And it's usually us. Right. I don't like us being the mascot for other agendas. And what I really don't appreciate is the fact that we're so excited to be the mascot. You know, we said it was bad to be the tap dancer, but now we're willingly putting on the shoes, putting on the bottle caps underneath, and tap dancing for everyone else's entertainment at our own expense.
Mm-hmm. So I think that the reason they went with Buzz Lightyear, because I was like, you know what, Buzz Lightyear is no more important than I think Woody is to the Toy Story franchise. But if
Mm-hmm.
you would have put it in fucking the Wild West, or the 1800s, then
That's
you
a little
wouldn't have
weird.
seen no strong black woman back then.
Nope.
I'm not going to say there weren't any. Okay, that movie Harder They Fall came out. Look, I definitely believe a lot of people back then was like, fuck this slavery shit, fuck all that. I'm finna do my own thing. I'm gonna be shoot these white folks. You know what I'm saying? Django Unchained type shit. But for the most part, I think if you was gonna see a black person in Woody's time, she was gonna be a slave. She was gonna be some white man's rag doll. Okay, pun intended.
Yeah.
So that's why they went with the Lightyear story, because it's in the future. We all progressive, colored folks
Right.
everywhere. They're gonna treat us like
Right.
fucking Star Wars aliens or some shit. But like you said, even when I looked at the trailer, and I seen the black girl, I was like, okay, she gonna be gay. I know she gonna be gay.
Yeah.
She don't have the saved side of the head, but
It's
none.
close enough.
She a strong black woman, and that's what they trying to
Project.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So, see if I can, view on this tab. So this article, this is just to let y'all, see journalists writing on this. This is not just us saying, we hate gays. This shouldn't be in here, because it shouldn't. This is from an actual source, Variety, magazine, newsletter, whatever, website. Same-sex kiss restored in Pixar's Lightyear following staff uproar over "Don't Say Gay" bill. Exclusive. This was exclusive to them. Why was it exclusive? Because Disney told them to put this story on March
Well,
9th.
good call. Good call.
Okay. On March 9th, LGBTQ. I'm gonna say the Q because it's here, but in my average speaking, in my dialect, I'm not putting the Q. I feel like all the first of them fucking Q enough. Anyway,
Right.
employees and allies at Pixar Animation Studios sent a joint statement to Walt Disney Company leadership, claiming that Disney executives had actively censored overtly gay affection in its feature films. The stunning allegation, made as part of a larger protest over the company's lack of public response to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, did not include which Pixar films had weathered the censorship, nor which specific creative decisions were cut or altered. They don't know. But in at least one case, the statement appears to have made a significant difference. According to a source close to the production, Pixar's next feature film, Lightyear, starring Chris Evans as the putative real life inspiration for the Toy Story. Oh, okay. Character Buzz Lightyear does feature a significant female character, Hawthorne, voiced by Uzo Aduba. I don't know her, but she about to make bank. Being
About to.
be- let me not say that. Anyway, who is in a meaningful relationship with another woman. While the fact of their relationship was never in question at the studio, meaning we knew she was gay. We wanted her to be gay. We know she
Yeah.
gay. We good. We good. A kiss between the characters had been cut from the film. Following the uproar surrounding the Pixar employee's statement and Disney CEO Bob Chapek's handling of the "Don't Say Gay" bill. However, the kiss was reinstated into the movie last week. And I want to point out, when they say "Don't Say Gay," they put it in quotation marks because they're trying to cover
Mhm.
their ass, because they know it's not called that. We have that pulled up. We'll look at that later.
You already
Um,
know.
but again, they trying to cover their ass because we're not giving you misinformation. We put the quotes. It's on you if you didn't understand what the quotes meant. All right, I'll read this last paragraph, but I ain't trying to stay
All
too
right.
long on this. The decision marks a possible major turning point for LGBTQ representation, not just in Pixar films, no, but in feature animation in general. All y'all cartoons.
Mm-mm. Oh
Cartoons,
boy.
cartoons. That's from Cartoon Network, which has remained steadfastly circumspect about depicting same sex affection in any meaningful light. So that's what's going on. That's them saying it, not us. We're just reading the story.
Yep.
But they told you they got some backlash because the community didn't wanted them to respond a certain way. They did not. So to prove that they had the virtue signal, they had the panda, they had to go on to get that gay money back. Okay. And they be like, look, this gay relationship was here and this kiss was here the whole time. We did this for y'all. We got them women kissing on screen for y'all. I bet you with a white woman.
Oh, I gotta double check on that one.
I bet she with a white woman. I'm not talking about real life. I'm talking about this character.
Oh yeah, it can be that. So yeah, you got an interracial relationship on top of it. Yeah, check as many boxes as you can, but I'll double check on that too.
Because they not worried about no black nuclear family. You ain't gonna find her wife in this show because she's not important. She's some side character. She's the main character in this. Look at this picture. They couldn't even have her standing next to Buzz Lightyear, like shoulder to shoulder. It's her pointing at him. Hey,
giving direction.
Yeah. Hey, white man, you need to do this. Okay. In order for this to happen, I need you. Nah. That's what's about to go on, man. What's your thoughts on that, Ego?
You know, man, you got to. It used to be you didn't have to screen what your kids watched, and now you do. You know, I guess the weird thing for me is the fact that if you're saying we're in the future and things are so progressive, I'm surprised you don't see humans in relationship with aliens. Then it wouldn't matter.
I'm for it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, if you got all these species, if you're telling me that it really doesn't matter, then you'd want to see a human with an alien, and that doesn't even matter if it's a male or female alien, because whenever Star Trek would do certain concept, they would say we don't have genders. They'll say the race of the aliens, and that's it. It's not really a discussion because to them it doesn't really matter. Because if you're saying it's a relationship and you're not worried about the reproduction aspect, because that's a birds and the bees talk you'd have to have with your kids. If it's aliens, you can circumvent a lot of that by just saying, oh, that's your mate. And it doesn't matter. What do we call him? You say it's, but you can call me Bob. You're like, oh, okay, that's Bob. Is Bob a male or female? They don't really have genders. And then that's your way of having that discussion without having to have the discussion. You can have it, the character's there, you move on. Now it's about the character, the alien itself, rather than the identity that you've surrounded them in. Mm-hmm. And so if you're gonna go to the future and be progressive with it, go all the way. Don't just say that it's not a big deal, but you made it a big deal in the promotion. Because now we're not worried about the character, we're worried about the character's orientation. Mm-hmm. And that stifles the creative process.
So when you said earlier you didn't have to kind of monitor too much what your kids was watching, I know what you meant, okay, but let's just clarify. You always have to do that. That's being a good parent. Watch what your kids watching, know what's going on. Because I know definitely growing up in the hood, 106 in Paul, you know what I'm saying, BT After Dark, I was there. Okay, you know that little channel 83, 84 we turn.
And I bet you froze up when Left Every Voice came on at 5 a.m, didn't you?
No, man, that's how we had to.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm a church boy. I know what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can take my L's. Because we all stand to come short of the glory. All right.
Okay. All right.
It's natural. Little boy trying to get into something.
All right.
Getting something in Star Wars, bro. I got a female Wookiee character looks so good. When I make my fan fiction, she coming.
Okay. We're looking forward to the art.
Savage and aggressive. But anyway, we talking about the kids, man, and stuff going on with them. Yes, bro, the agenda is there, and the sad part is they using. Okay, I want to say it's more so in what I'm seeing isn't already established fandoms. Mm-hmm. But you can argue that they're mostly dominated by children. Okay. So, of course, the Marvel, just keeping it at Disney. Okay. So you got the Disney animations targeting the children. That's specifically what it's for. I was talking to my wife, like us growing up with real Disney magic. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It wasn't push a narrative. It was tell a good story. And however you interpret that story, like those values, those lessons are there. But how you see these characters is on you. We're not putting that on the characters per se. That's up to the watcher, the consumer of the content, and that's good storytelling. And that was pure. Now it is okay. What, like you said, what box can we check? What story can we tell? What
Mhm.
marginalized person can we get in here? How can we highlight them? A lot of that is going on. Speaking on the Buzz Lightyear thing specifically, although a lot of people don't want to acknowledge them, Buzz Lightyear had a series that came out on Disney Channel
Oh yeah, wow.
before, and he had, it was a long time ago. Maybe I think she was a love interest. Okay,
Mhm.
um, please, somebody please fact check me on it, but that was already there. There was a robot guy. There was the red dude, looked like fucking Kilowog from the Lanterns.
Mhm.
Boomer Buster or some shit. He was a space ranger. So there was already a story that could have been told. But I think by having that female there, it would have gave more reason to have that straight relationship that was already established, as opposed to them what they're doing, which is make up some completely new, so they could just
Right.
add whatever fuck characters they want in there, like you said, to push or to check whatever boxes. Um, so it's one thing to have this like representation stuff being shown, but it's another thing when
Mhm.
you dismiss already established like lore, story, things that came before because they go against your narrative. So because
Right.
you completely dismiss it, we're not going to acknowledge it. This is a different canon or some shit they might say with the Halo series. But it's like then once you go out your way to push something else aside, then we can tell like, okay, that's what you're doing. Like,
Right.
gotcha.
Right. Right.
You got thoughts on that?
No, I mean, well, so it sounds like it's almost a bait and switch. I read comics, and so typically when they want to tell you a reimagined story, it used to be they would tell you it's Elseworlds. They put that on the title so hey, this would be my interpretation of the character. It isn't the character at all. None of this is canon. It's just
Mhm.
I want to tell a single close-ended story. It's complete arc, it's done. And I'll tell you, like, hey, this is the Superman of Earth 3, or this is Earth 1. And I actually will read those books because I know what I'm getting into. With the
Mhm.
Halo series, they didn't say Halo Prime. They didn't
Yeah.
say Halo Elseworlds. They said Halo, which means you knowingly are deceiving a core fan base that is made this thing popular to begin with. I remember guys failing college for playing Halo so much because it was that fun of a game. It
Niggas
was a
not going to work to play with Halo.
right. And so when you say Halo, our minds going to that part because nostalgia is what sells now. And so if you're telling me that Halo was this big thing, as an example, and
Mhm.
you're telling me you're making a show, well, I'm interested now. And then you tell us the casting, and then we start hearing certain things. Well, we're like, well, that didn't happen, or
Mhm.
that's not what this is about. And then by the time it's released, it's it's a different universe, but that's not what you told me. And now you're telling me, it's a different universe, and if you don't like it, you're a complete istophobe. Well, no, I'm just upset that you pulled a bait and switch, and
Mhm.
instead of taking ownership and accountability of that, you're trying to turn it on around me and try to get a rise out of me, or gaslighting me. And wonder why these corporations will buy up the properties, and then they wind up tanking either when it comes to revenue or reviews, because people that were really interested in it and it drove the interest and the fandom don't want it. You're completely rejecting the product because that's not the product that you told me you were actually going to put on.
And they're actually I want to say not giving enough credit to the established fan base,
Right.
because they're assuming that because it has that name, you're just going to watch it, you're just going to consume it, which,
Right.
not gonna lie, a lot of people do, but that's more so of the normal person's perspective on it. I know it's popular, so I'm going to see it because of the FOMO, the fear of missing out. I want to be able to talk about
Right.
it. I want to seem cool. But
Right.
those are the people that are flaky, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that shit was
Right.
garbage. That shit was boring." Or they'll say it's
Right.
cool for a minute, and then after that, they gone. Okay, no more
Right.
mention of it. While the core fans are sitting here like, "Bro, I would have given you so much money if you would have made some great shit that showed that you respected everything that was already established.
Which is why, I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but which is why, back when they did the Oscars this past week, Zack Snyder's won, I think it was the Cheer Award or Best Moment Award for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's saying, well, No Way Home should have won, or had that beat out The Matrix. The fandom is a pure fan base that got what they asked for. They were the ones that put the Snyder cut on the map when everyone else was saying it doesn't exist. You're never going to see it. Take this Joss Whedon version. Take this watered down version. We're going to move on to other things. Like, no, we wanted the product. Zack Snyder was heavily involved in the process of making the Justice League. He took inspiration from different religious paintings from like the 15th and 16th century. So he added all these, I guess, extras into the movie to show I did my research. I care what you have to think. I want to show you a version where heroes can get beat down, but even in the face of things not going their way, they're always going to try. And that's what the fans that love the Snyderverse, that's what we wanted. So when we see that, our movie is up for an award, we are going to vote not one time. We're going to vote 150 times. And that's what you're really after. If markets were smart, they would cater to the original core audience, because although you might do the numbers in mass that first week, you're trying to go for the person that's going to see it 7 or 8 times, buy the special limited DVD. It's going to actually spend more money to do the comic convention that comes to town, and spend even more money to meet the director or the character of the movie that really spoke to them.
Right.
They're trying to get quick money, but you want long lasting money. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to buy the Jaguar, or do you want to invest in the real estate property that's going to appreciate over time?
Mm-hmm.
It seems that a lot of companies would rather go with the Jaguar, but I mean, there's always going to be another model up. So it's just get it, go. But the real estate, hey, I can invest this. I can build whatever I want on it. I can, we can sell it. We can promote it. There are so many other avenues you have when you actually cater to the core fan base, that you're going to make 10 times what you thought you would, because they're going to love it and they're going to keep investing in it.
Mm-hmm. So when you said that kind of opened my eyes a little bit, because you was talking about people who are going to see the movie multiple times, people who are going to bring their friends to go see the movie, people who are going to go to those conventions and invest more and more. And I've always looked at it like, again, a normie, from my perspective. Yes, I've watched a lot of cartoons and read a whole lot of comics, fucking seen every cartoon and played damn near every game associated with like Marvel or DC. But I know growing up, you would see depictions of like these people who got like figures in the background like you, or even got the shit in my background, but like spend the thousands on like statues and just got all these figures and like all these different, like that's somebody actually investing in that. And man, I'm gonna say that's really that's fucked up on Marvel's, Disney's part or whatever, because they know that they can put out the shit garbage like that, but they have like a Disney World, or just because merchandise has that branding, people are going to buy it. I go into fucking Walmart and I'm just like, oh, I want to buy this Spider-Man backpack or some shit for my, a niece or nephew, or like I want to buy this little toy or something. It's like that branding will kind of like overtake you. And unfortunately, that's what these companies, whatever, are banking on, because they saying fuck the story, because the normal people who watch the story are just gonna be like, ooh, black skin, ooh, gay couple, yada yada yada. And then they just, they're gonna buy the merchandise. So it's more of a money thing, as opposed to, like we were saying, Disney magic, instilling real values in people. So they show you one thing, but they feel a totally different way, and they don't give you a respectable product. They're bait and switch. Speaking of bait and switch, one of the first characters that I was super invested into when I really got into comics was Red Hood. Now you, Ego, come and tell me that Red Hood and came into the game with his guns. He knocking niggas off with them dual pistols. Okay, he was a better Deadpool. If I've seen one, that was my Deadpool. To some degree. I just mean with the pistol action. And now you telling me the toys don't come with guns. What's up with that,
Yeah.
man?
All right. So it's really the WB made an announcement back like in November of 2021, and they were saying, "Well, hey, from this moment onward, our WB characters are no longer going to be having guns in their actual." I guess they made it sound like it was in their episodes. So the way that they made it sound was that okay, so Elmer Fudd is going to have his shotgun, and Yosemite Sam is going to have his dueling six shooters. So they said that Elmer Fudd is going to have a scythe. Makes no sense to me at all. I don't know how you hunt with a scythe, whatever. And so I said, okay, that's weird, but okay, let's moving on.
No,
So
his short ass legs ain't finna catch no wabbit.
exactly, not like that. Now, no scythe.
I want
He
to throw
has
you
no.
off, my bad.
No. He has zero cardio. We know this. He's got a big head and a booty. He has no legs. And so, I said, moving on, whatever. So back in maybe I think February, I started seeing Red Hood action figure. They came out with another one. So, I have one of the original Red Hoods when there was the DC collectibles. And so, he's got his dueling 1911s or his dual 9s, whatever. So I'm looking at this new action figure and I'm like, why does he have a crowbar? Why did you give him? Is that a sword? And then we went.
Why you holding on to this trauma item?
Yeah. Why would you walk around with your trauma like that? Even when Under the Red Hood came out, he had guns. That's where we were introduced to him in both the animated film adaptation and the comic book that was the original, the source material. And so then we were looking to another local comic book shop, and they had Thomas Wayne. So Thomas Wayne, he is the vigilante Batman in an alternate timeline that actually has dueling guns. They gave him a sword. Then I find that Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad, he has a sword too, even though his show clearly has him dueling I don't even know what kind of gun that is. I just know it's a long pistol. And so I'm looking back into the articles, and now they're saying, no. We meant anything associated with the WB brand is not going to have guns at all. So that included the action figures, which is absolutely absurd because the way that you introduced the characters to us was with the pistols. And now it's another bait and switch. I really almost have no words at this point because go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was waiting. I'm listening to you. But to go off their logic, I know you said that like they had that was a response to like the gun violence and shit going on to why they taking the guns out. But
that's its own conversation of how they are so wrong on that one. But go ahead.
Right. So, but you did mention that more people died or from actual weaponry or
hand, feet, and knives than guns. Yeah. So I mean, when they try to talk about gun violence, they'll give you X amount of deaths per year, like usually in the 100,000s. What they don't tell you is 2/3 of those are the person actually ending their own life, right? Mm-hmm. And then you might have an even smaller percentage of that are accidental discharge from children getting a hold of the firearm. The rest of the gun violence are actually telling you is usually gang associated. So then it's like, well, do you have an issue with guns or do you have a socioeconomic issue for people that actually can't afford it? So now they're taking it by force and the weapon is the tool of choice. Mm-hmm. Even if you count that, more people would die by hand, feet, and knives than with firearms. And so if you're giving me that logic, you're actually encouraging the actual violence that has higher numbers than actual firearms. So it winds up seeming like it's either a paradox or it's completely hypocritical. You can take your pick on that.
Because I do recall seeing a video just recently of some dude. We know dudes can be creepy, all right, but some big guy was coming after a woman in the street, and she pulled that thing out on him and put him down, rape avoided, or yes. slave ownership that avoided. Like she was like, no, I'm not going over no border to Mexico in your trunk, my nigga.
Exactly. I mean, the saying goes is that God created man, Samuel Colt made them equal. And for those who don't know, Samuel Colt is the firearm maker. Mm-hmm. And so, again, it winds up, I don't want to segue or move too far off topic, but when you actually think about gun control, a lot of the gun control that was actually implemented at us as African Americans. And if you understand the history and the actual legislation and who it winds up affecting the most, it's us. So that's why it might seem that, hey, we're out here just shooting guns at the range, but we're actually exercising a constitutionally given right. And the more people that understand why there is gun control and how it affects them, especially if you're a minority, you're going to want to exercise that right because it is the great equalizer.
Mm-hmm. Government don't want militant niggas out here.
And if you know, exactly. Like Second Amendment was against the tyrannical government. I know everyone wants to say for self-defense. No, it was against the government. In case they ever try to come at you, you have your equalizer as well. And if you don't believe me, you take a look at what's happening in the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. So, so they taking away the guns from the toys because they feel like, oh, as well as the media. So, like, I guess we watching Looney Tunes now. We ain't seeing no shooting, no buckshots going after wabbits or ducks on there. But if that was their response to gun violence, feeling that I guess they're trying to say that, like, because I remember us growing up, I would hear, us playing Grand Theft Auto and seeing Looney Tunes shooting guns. I've heard that argument before that stuff would like increase violence. But if that's the case, going by their same logic, we about to have a whole bunch of kids out here running around with swords and crowbars and
making it happen.
Damian Wayne's out here.
Exactly. It's like, and then that would be on you. So, I mean, which one is it? Which are you willing to actually go with and say it's your fault? I mean, just based on number, I think there are over 350 million people in the United States, but there are over 400 million or 450 million guns in America, which means it's more than one gun per person. So if you went by that logic, just by numbers, you would actually see more gun deaths that weren't suicides based on the numbers. So it doesn't pan out. Anyone get a hold of a knife, which is probably why there are more murders by hands, feet, and knives than with actual guns, because a lot of people that are creating these felonies are already prohibited persons who shouldn't have firearms anyway. Mm-hmm. And so, if it's me, if you really have your questions about gun violence, that doesn't seem like you make a one-way decision where it only goes one way. Let's take away all the guns. We're only doing knives now. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a nuanced conversation from both sides of the aisle, like you claim, well, let's speak with some actual coalitions, like Firearms Policy Coalition. Let's talk about them. Like, hey, how do we at least put a PSA on here? Or, how do we explain to children that, hey, guns aren't toys. You should treat them with respect. Because you learn things the earlier you learn something, the better, especially when it comes to safety.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking like, okay, so you talking about a public service announcement. So I was thinking like, okay, let's say a Looney Tunes cartoon, because I done seen some foul shit in Looney Tunes. Okay,
of course,
I didn't try to repeat none of it. I don't think, but they was wild. But I can't say that I'm privileged. Okay, I grew up in a 2-parent household. Okay, right. So I had a good foundation, and then Christian values. Like I was like, I don't need to be out here shooting folks. I don't need to be Pepe Le Pew out here filling up on, every female. Like I knew these things. It wasn't up to the cartoon or for the programming to necessarily teach me that or tell me that. What do you think about an announcement or like a viewer discretion? Not viewer discretion, but like saying guns may be shown, guns smoke, kind of like how when you buy a video game and it has a little rating on it and it'll say why, like cartoon violence, partial nudity, stuff like that. Do you think that would be I don't know, a resolution or a solution to them still having these same elements in there, but like, hey, we told y'all like this was in here. If your kids out here doing dumb shit, you know what I'm saying, that's on you.
I guess. I mean, you could do that. I mean, usually they would have that in the top right corner. I know they did this like in the late 90s, early 2000s. They would put in the top corner of the rating, like have Y7. It will be 13 or 14, and then MA, and then just A. So they used to use that. So I guess if you want to CYA on that one, cover you know what, you could do that. You could put that on there to let them know that, hey, it's MA for these reasons. Because when you watch, my wife and I watch Peacock, we watch shows that were actually originally on Showtime, and when the episode comes on, they'll tell you, hey, this is MA, and they'll give you all the reasons why. And
Yeah.
it's like about a 5 or 6 second delay after they showing you that before the show comes on. And so that's your time. If you want to change the channel, do it now because we told you.
Yeah.
So I can see that being a possible solution, especially for a corporation or a business that does that. It's just the fact that I think that some parents don't want to have to do that every 30 minutes or so, which is why companies like the Daily Wire are actually making children themed animation. And so I don't know if you watched it. The guy Jeremy, one of the principal investors of Daily Wire, he actually made an announcement that that's what they were actually doing. So he was saying, hey, we're telling you exactly what it's going to be about. The guys that made VeggieTales, I don't know if you remember that. When VeggieTales came out, same creators, different style of animation, but you do know that they're going to learn morals and some values, and there'll
Thank
be a little bit of
God.
history. Yeah,
Thank God, different animation, because I ain't trying to watch no bulky vegetables. Tell me about the drone
right.
and the whale.
Bro, you're telling me. You're telling me. You're telling me. But you kind of want something to where if you just had something that was in the background that you could have your kid watch, while you're taking care of something else, sending an email, doing dishes, cooking dinner, whatever. You want to at least feel for that 30 minutes to an hour, my kid's safe. I shouldn't say you shouldn't leave entertainment up to educating your children and that you might want to screen what your children watch,
Yeah.
but you want to say, I trust you enough because I know who these creators are. I know what they created. I know that this channel is strictly dedicated to children's learning the basics of morals and values and a little bit of history. And it's going to be a little bit funny and it's going to be, more importantly, age appropriate.
There
I
was
can
a
get
time
behind something like that.
yeah, most definitely. There was a time when again media did do that. And Disney was that. Disney was the stronghold or like that magic for family.
The gold standard. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, now at first they actually valued that. You knew that these creators had an integrity. You know what I'm saying? They had a brand
Right.
and you could trust that brand. You know what your kid
Right.
was watching
Right.
when that popped on, or when you saw the Disney castle, pop up with the blue background.
Oh yeah.
Um Speaking of that, I don't know if you've seen the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. I reviewed the first episode. I got to do the rest of the series, but in my
Okay.
review, I acknowledged there was some odd gay shit going on in here. Not odd
Okay.
in the sense of it being gay; it shouldn't be there. Odd in the sense of, like I've told you before, Sticky was out and this Michael guy was in. We had gay parents not even 10 minutes into the episode, and then you got Makeup Boy on the very next episode. So
Okay.
it and then so we're gonna watch this video with Ryan from RK Outpost uh
Okay.
showing or reacting to one of the leaders, or one of the head people working on that show, saying that there was an agenda, and she sees every opportunity she could to put queer stuff in the show. All
Okay.
right, man.
All right. Let's do
Let me
it.
pull that video up for y'all, because again, we've been saying this stuff and people been calling us crazy. Talking about, you just hate stuff just to hate it. You can't sit back and just enjoy anything. There's no agenda. We reading too deep into shit. Well, in the words of Dave Chappelle, gotcha, bitch. Disney admits to gay agenda and leaked executive meeting. It took me too
Okay.
long to get to that joke, but
I was waiting for the pause. It was a good pause. It was a good dramatic pause.
all
A good
right.
dramatic pause.
So let me skip to that video. Ryan talking. Don't want to take from his content, so
Hmm.
we might give some of his thoughts, but go check out
Okay.
his video. Did I like it? Let me like that. This might put out so much content, you just load it up, and you know what I'm saying. You forget to
Yeah.
like or dislike, and Be like, on to the next one. Ryan,
Yeah.
what other racist shit about to come out your mouth? Or sexist shit, transphobic shit. All right, but this is the video. There we go.
Can you get the volume up on the video? It's a little bit low.
Bro, I actually don't think I can. I remember
That's fine.
listening back. I want to fix that, man. I don't know how to
That's
fix
fine.
it.
It's either that or you can hit the closed captioning on there so they can kind of see what's going on.
Just to be clear, we'll stop it right there really quick. The fact that there's someone who wants to be an activist, that wants to put more of this programming out there for Disney's audience, for Disney's family audience, happens to have a transgender child and a pansexual child, that should tell you a lot right there.
I don't know what was going on.
As a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I had heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks, in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And
Why can that not be true? Do you have
Someone paused it. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't want to take from his content. So when they try to
Okay.
pause it, I try to jump in and respond.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to respond to that, or you want me to get to it?
I mean, I didn't expect her to go that hard on that agenda that she went on. I mean, you're having these discussions, and it seems like it's more of a personal project to you, but you're spreading it throughout Disney. She's like, oh, I think she said one of her kids is transgender and the other is pansexual, or something like that. Right. And so a 6-year-old doesn't know what that is. Hell, I have a hard time grasping that concept myself, and I'm an adult. So what does this have to do with the 5 or 6-year-old? Just because your children happen to be that, now it has to permeate everything. I don't understand why you feel the need to do this or even say this out loud when you've got investors that might be there. For the most part, the majority of them going to be heterosexual couples that actually might have equity or ownership or even sit on the board that make these decisions. Who are you to then say, well, now I'm going to flip it. I've got my own personal agenda and I'm going to put it into the business. Now, take that to your boss and see what happens. If you say, no, you know what? I got an agenda. We're going to do it this way. I know we've been doing it, to where we sell apples and we've got a really good market for people that want apples. But you know what? Tangerines from now on. But try that with your boss and see how that works out. Go ahead.
I was going to make a joke. It was garbage, but anyway, I don't think so. The video I mentioned, that wasn't exactly that video. I think he might kind of talk about it later on. Yeah, so she does come up with the Proud family, and I take my content. You hear me talk. I speak a lot on like more so the black direction of a lot of this stuff and how it affects black people. So that's why my definite example was the Proud family, but that's just only a facet or a small portion of the greater Disney, scheme and them kind of exhibiting this stuff. I'm gonna go back to the video with Ryan.
any idea what percentage of the population the LGBTQ plus IA whatever community makes up? I would say a handful is about an accurate description. You're mad that only a handful of queer leads have been in Disney's programming. Weird. It's almost like you want over representation, which she's about to do.
So on that, that kind of brings me to the point I've made where I remember growing up, and no, I didn't see a lot of black characters in like these cartoons, black superheroes. But at no point was I like, oh, I'm not represented. We need more black characters. It was okay. This is the product. This is what it is. I appreciate it for what it is. It's influencing me, like inspiring me to now create something else, but just make sure I have those elements in it that I want to show. You know,
Right.
I don't want it, but I don't. At no point was I like, I just want to tell a black story. You know, black story. I was like, I just want to see cool black characters, which they was already there. Okay, but again, you know, we can't. True representation is a handful. You know, you have a majority and a minority. All right,
Right.
wherever you go, that's gonna look different. But I grew up around black folks, so I was not around a lot of white people. It wasn't until I went to high school and I went to an actual like multicultural like high school to where I was around all these other people. But I was, I didn't hate anybody. I didn't look anybody a certain way. It was just like, oh, okay. Now we have some beautiful Mexican girls. Now we have beautiful white girls. Now we have beautiful Indian girls.
Yeah.
But again, that was like true representation. It's not, there's going to be a majority, and there's going to be, a minority or a few. But at no moment that I think, again, let me just slap a whole bunch of black people everywhere for the sake of them being black.
Right.
And these people, in their overcorrection of us not seeing gay characters, which we've seen elements of gay characters, through in the media we've consumed. But no, I'm be real, I can't think of no just straight gay character. You know what I mean? from
I know what you mean. Yeah.
from media. So it's like, ain't nobody mad at y'all putting these elements into certain things, but it's like, damn, now it's a fucking tsunami of the shit y'all taking over. Now it's too much, because it literally is too much. Like, it's too many of y'all in our shit and y'all taking over.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those are my thoughts on that. Get back to that.
Oh.
And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters.
That will never happen.
Yeah.
You guys make sure of that. There's a guy, there's a freak here that talks a little bit later about you can't just have them be a character, because if they were a character, no one would ever know that they were trans or bi. You have to make that part of their story.
And not have to be about gay stories. And so
Yeah, I don't want to take too much from his content. We ain't got to watch too much more of that. She got her point across. They putting more gay characters in here, and they definitely about to put a whole bunch of gay leads in here. All right. That's an issue, man. That's an issue, because that is not a representation of the actual world. And for the most part, I can't pull in those statistics, but y'all can go do your research. The people who, there's a correlation to how many people identify as these things from now as opposed to so many years ago,
Right.
and not too many, like people from, it seems like I'm a millennial, I think, so it's like the early half is good, but the later half they on some dumb shit. Whatever label people want to put on my generation or whatever, but that's what I'm seeing. And you do have some older people that are agreeing with this stuff as well, but people, I'm gonna say this, man. Kids are curious. Young people are curious. They're gonna experiment. If they're brought up in a world where they're taught that all of this deviant behavior is okay, they're gonna be like, all right, fuck it. What, let me try it. Let me go boink a boy or something. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think it makes it. Trying to figure out how I can word this. I would say this in my profession. Usually, what happens is they have different age groups when testing. I work mainly with older patients, so geriatrics, right? So whenever you have a child that's between 9 and 12, usually it's boys at 12 or girls at 9. When you start testing the hearing on there, you figure out that when you're hearing them do the testing, you're looking at like, well, these results aren't really making sense. And so you're asking the parents like, hey, what's been going on at home? And so they'll tell you, you know what, mommy and daddy are getting a divorce. It's very hard on her, and suddenly, now she's having trouble hearing. And so you wind up saying, oh, okay, well, this isn't an issue that really has anything to do with her hearing. We call it malingering. She's, we don't want to call it, you're saying you're faking, but we saying this isn't really this isn't an organic hearing loss. You actually are trying to make it seem worse than it is, because there probably isn't any hearing loss, because the child is trying to get attention from mom and dad. And so if you push these agendas, what you're saying, with characters that live an alternative lifestyle, and you see how either popular they are, or they got this role, or they got this endorsement, or they've got these fans. Well, might not even live that lifestyle, but all I have to do is say it, and I get all of these benefits without I have to actually go through with it. Well, let me do that, because we're humans. We want to do the least amount of work and get the maximum amount of benefits. Mm-hmm. And so you actually damage the community of people that actually live the lifestyle and just want to say, hey, this is how I live. I'm not trying to judge anyone. I'm not trying to put my lifestyle on anyone. I'm just letting you know that's how I live. That's how I get down. But now you got my people infiltrating that don't even live the lifestyle. And that's going to make that community actually look bad. Like, you're just doing this for the benefits. You don't actually live like this. And so, you're winding up kind of hurting more than you're helping by over-representing something that is a minority in itself. Mm-hmm. That's a roundabout way of saying it.
So with the, I guess the over-representation, we've always... So, okay. You have characters... Okay, so usually how the story goes is the main character has some love interest or relationship. And because you're so invested in that main character, then you want to see what they feel. You want to see, their relationships with the people around them. If they have a love interest, Peter Parker and Mary Jane, for instance. Now you get to see how their lifestyle affects someone they care about and how that can influence decision making.
Right.
Someone can take their love interest and kind of,
use it against them. Yeah.
Against them. So that was an element. That's definitely an element of storytelling. That we even see with mythos, and we even see in the Bible with Samson and that one chick that was manipulated.
Delilah. Yeah.
So like those elements are there, but that's usually reserved for the main character.
Right.
Why are we, let's say if our main character, for instance, Buzz Lightyear, if he's the main guy, why are we paying attention to a side she and their relationship? When that's not a story focus, and how she was just saying like they want these characters to be like leads, and then the forefront is like, what are you teaching with that? Okay, I think with that, and again, this goes against the Bible type stuff, but I mean, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like with that straight relationship, that was a depiction of the natural world. Okay, you have your deviants, you have your outliers and whatever, but that's a representation of the natural world. And again, you get to see how, I guess that's instilling in, let's say, men, because they want to talk about toxic men so bad. Well, these men were being taught to be the best version of themselves that they can be, and to be there for their woman, to make sacrifices for their woman. That was a good message. A good societal message, as opposed to now, which again is not even the leads, but in the direction that they going, is like, now just be gay, be the best gay that you can be. And then you have stories where like, they might not say gay, on the nose, but Raya and the Last Dragon, I don't know if you've seen that. That
I haven't.
Bro, I'm really into the Disney shit, and I've paid attention to some stuff, but she was a strong female. She didn't have a male love interest. It was her and her best friend, who was, I would argue, a lesbian. She was dark skinned. She had the shaved haircut. She was the supposed villain. And it's just like good relationships. Just be partners. Let's be, it's just there's no value in that. Okay. There's an extra layer that they're adding that turns into the whole agenda pushing. So it's like, okay, now you're taking away from, the family and pushing all of this other stuff. Now I just went on for a little while about that. Uh, you
No,
know,
it's all good, bro.
I don't want to cut you off or anything, but as you people can see from that, the agenda is here. They're aware of it. I could go to that video. I did it on my stream, my last stream already, in my personal one, so we don't have to go to that. But I mean,
Okay.
Disney just let y'all know, hey, gay characters are here. They here
Right.
to stay, and they finna be in leads, and they ain't finna earn shit that they get. They just nice, and we better than y'all because we magical or some shit. I don't know. That was made in a pot.
No, no. I mean, it kind of. I see what you mean by be the best gay you can be, because you almost see it in the stories that they're making for black characters now. It used to be in the '90s and maybe early 2000s. You'd have shows like The Parenthood, Family Matters. Those were the two that where black people could just be, and it was just life happening, but they could be. Didn't have to be the smartest one in the family. They didn't have to say, I'm doing this so I could be the first ever in my family to go to college. It wasn't that. It was just my mother and father are here. I'm living life as a kid in junior high. Now I'm in high school. Now I'm in college. And the dilemmas that they face are dilemmas that are universal. You're talking about peer pressure. You're talking about drug abuse. You're talking about if you know someone that's being abused, what do you do? The characters that were black could just be. With what you're seeing now is you're not only black, but you either are the best black that ever was, or you're automatically great at everything and you don't have any challenges. And so it sets a very negative precedent for the black people that are around now, that are younger, that are watching this, that say, I have to be the best. I have to be the greatest. I can't just be. Because, you've been around life long enough to know that it will punch you in the gut, it'll uppercut you, it'll knock you down. And you don't want to have the weighted expectations you've put on yourself to be the best when life is already hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
I know your woman with you is like, well, hey, this life is going to be hard on you, this life's going to be hard on me, but we can face it together. And I think the thing that you really want to highlight with any relationship is life is about relationships. Life is going to be hard enough. You don't have to be the best or the greatest. Your input determines your output, but you are going to have to know that this life is about relationships. And so I'm saying all to say that with the shows that I'm seeing now, it's not only the fact that you're pushing black characters to the forefront that may not have earned it or deserved it because you haven't qualified how they got there.
Yeah.
You're also telling me that they came here and they're the greatest already. That is a lot of pressure for someone that might see themselves in the character. They're going to wind up trying to use whatever means possible to get to the top, and not all those options or means of getting there are going to be good ones. So I see what you're saying. By being the best, it's like, well, you're putting these weighted expectations on people, and life's not really like that.
And what you said with black characters, I mean, you could interchange women with that.
Yeah.
Now you see what we was talking about was create value in you, be the best version of yourself, find what you're great at. These stories now are telling these marginalized groups that, like you said, you're just the very best, that no black ever was, that no gay ever was,
Right.
To best them is my real test. I couldn't think of the rest, but it's like they're telling you automatically that you're perfect just the way you are. There's no room for self-improvement. Fucking, a paved brick or gold brick road is just gonna like fall in your feet. You just walk it, you just walk it, and you'll go to the promised land. And I mean, now I'm kind of being kind of fucked up because I'm like, these people really are narcissistic. You can tell when you talk to them on Twitter and shit. But it's like they think there's nothing wrong with them. There's no self-improvement need to be had because I'm perfect just the way I am. And like you were saying, like relationships are what's important. No man is an island. And we won't be the very best at everything. You find you're great at, you be great at that. You might not be the best, but you be great at that. Fuck it, you be the best when it comes to the people in your circle. They see you the best in that. So you find ways to value yourself and be able to add that value to the people around you. So where where each other lack, then that's when the next person can bring them up. And that starts with relationships, like we said, family. So that'll be a wife, that'll be your friends, like any relationship that you decide to attach yourself to. And that reminds me of this meme. I might not do it justice, but it was a Star Wars meme, and they had how like in the older Star Wars, like Chewbacca was the pilot, or like he was like the wingman, something like that. Solo was like the pilot, the ace pilot.
Yeah.
It was like the tactician, the brains. Luke
Yeah.
was the knight, the warrior, and then you had C-3PO was the knowledge, and R2-D2 was, I guess, just the skill, and just I don't know what character he would be or whatever he was. But then they have current Star Wars, and all of those qualities was in Rey.
Yeah, exactly.
Along for the ride. We just on
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's the type of narcissism that comes with these people in real life, is because this is the media that they consume. They fucking love it. It's the shit. They praise it. And if you don't like it, then you're a bigot. If you don't like content, then it is an attack on me personally. Okay, and they ain't even writing the shit. So
exactly.
They just love the message. They represent me. They speaking for me. So yeah, I'm tired of seeing all that. And it's empathy, man. Empathy is a wonderful thing, but it can easily be manipulated. You say some buzz terms, and you could just have people just foaming at the mouth, just on their knees, bowing to you like, oh my goodness, Mr. White Man. That's what our folk be saying. Mr. Save me, Mr. White Man. We grow up praising Jesus though in God, but we look to these niggas on the fucking walking the same earth as us. They ain't walking on water, they walking on the same ground as us, but they just supposed to make our world move. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I hate to see that. I hate to see that this kind of entitlement that I keep saying newer generation, but there are older people, like there's mixed ages in it, but I definitely believe that it's, since we seeing that is, aimed towards the kids, they've admitted that. I definitely think that they're aiming it for that generation so that they can just put whatever little mental tactics or whatever they can on them and have them thinking, how they want them to think. When you tell a person there's no room for there's no self-improvement need to be done, then it's like, okay, well, like you said, littlest effort, I need maximum benefits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
so
bro.
I got you. Agreed.
Yeah, I'll be talking forever, man.
No, I understand that. That's fair. You make good points though.
So do we want to talk about the bill? Because all of this, like we saw in the article, was in response to the alphabet community going after Disney for not responding a certain way.
Right.
And that was because of this bill that they claiming is the Don't Say Gay bill. Now, either you can pull it up, I could bring up the tab, how you want to go about it, but we have it here. There's two of us here, people. There's one person watching. That's Wolf Guy. Wolf Guy, you watching, I appreciate you.
Salute, sir.
Appreciate you. But all these celebrities, all these people talking about some Ron DeSantis saying, don't say gay, don't say gay. Ron Perlman talking about you taking away our First Amendment, right? Yada, yada, yada. And the shit, don't say gay. All right. I'm not even one for politics. I'm not riding Ron DeSantis' dick. I don't care about none of that shit. Again, I believe in God. He's the only person that can do anything for me to benefit my life. But the fact that these people hold these humans in such high regard, these politicians, and now you see it with the celebrities, they saying shit, they ain't reading shit, they misinformed, and they just going with it. And because you telling these folks, they saying don't say gay, they don't like you, they don't approve of you, they telling kids to be scared of you, you a fucking boogeyman or some shit. Then they like, oh no, they think you're the most evil in the world. So I'm gonna let you handle it from here.
All right, cool. So here we go. So the bill that they're talking about is actually, I think it's House Bill 1557. And I actually found this from myfloridahouse.gov. So you can actually pull it up. It's about 7 pages on there. I actually wound up having it printed out to 4. And so I can actually read the portions that were the ones that have note, and it actually would take about maybe less than 5 minutes to read. So I can read it out in part. So it says it's in accordance with the rights of parents enumerated in subsection 1002.20 and 1014.04. I guess it's already in a bill that's already stated. It's just highlighting that and saying they're expanding on it. So it says they want the The state is adopting procedures for notifying the student's parent if there is a change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. The procedure must reinforce the fundamental right of the parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children by requiring the school district personnel to encourage a student to discuss issues relating to his or her well-being with his or her parent, or to seek permission to discuss or facilitate discussion of the issue with the parent. The procedures may not prohibit a parent from accessing any of his or her minor child's education records created, maintained, or used by the school district. Furthermore, a school district may not encourage classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. A parent of a student may bring an action against a school district to obtain a declaratory judgment that a school district procedure or practice violates this paragraph and seek injunctive relief, i.e., we can sue you. A court may award damages and shall award reasonable attorney fees and court costs to a parent who receives declaratory or injunctive relief. And once signed, this act goes into effect July 1st of 2022. So it was a bit winded on my part, but so that's the actual bill in and of itself. What we've seen in terms of the media consumption is we've seen a duality in the interpretation of the bill 1557. So you would say that conservatives are calling this an anti-grooming bill, whereas liberals are saying it's a don't say gay bill. I don't know if either side is right in saying that. To me, it just says it's pro-parenting. You know, in terms of our government, our salaries are the taxes that are taken out of our salaries actually go towards things like the fire department, the police department, and depending on which municipality you live in, your money is going directly to pay the school teacher's salary as well. So our taxes are funding the education system that we're putting into. Therefore, in my interpretation, you as the parent have the right to determine what your child is taught because you are paying for the education by way of taxes from your paycheck. And so for me, I would say this is more of a pro-parenting bill, more than someone saying it's an anti-grooming bill, more than someone saying it's an anti-don't say gay bill. So me, it's a pro-parent bill. And so for me, the more that you actually say what it is pro-parenting, the harder it is to attack based on conservatives versus liberals. Because the way that this reads is it's pro-parental, or it's giving the rights to the parents because the parents that are live in that school district, they pay for the education that their children are receiving.
I appreciate you saying that because I acknowledge the House, what you said, Democrats or liberals were,
The duality between liberals and
yeah,
conservatives.
the duality. So liberals will call it the don't say gay bill, and then conservatives will call it the anti-grooming bill. And I did not acknowledge or even was aware that they were saying it the anti-grooming bill.
Right.
Because again, it's both slanderous on both accounts.
Right.
So I feel you, like, yes, pro-parenting, because from when I just read it, which if you was following along, I guess the versions didn't match up, but I mean they was both saying the same shit. So I couldn't find what you were like. I had to really search for what you were saying, and I don't type that fast. So I was like, all right, let me just pull up the one I got. But it was basically saying the same stuff. Any conversation, any like real intimate kind of thing that you're trying to talk about with somebody's child as a servant of the state, as a somebody working in the school or whatever, that has to be addressed just to the parent. You got to have permission from a parent to talk about some things. If a child discloses anything to you, you got to let the parent know, hey, your child, you know what I'm saying, he's saying this,
Right.
he's writing this type of stuff. I also saw when I was reading it that any medical thing that they trying to do
Right.
to your child, They got to let the parent know. Any questionnaire, the parents got to have it. Like, so it's basically putting the parents or making it transparent what's
Yeah.
happening in the school system with their children. So I definitely think it is a pro parent bill. If y'all hear the
Right.
dogs, my bad. I can go get on their ass in a minute, but Brittany
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I feel you. I think we should be using more of since we got to put names to the bill, pro parent bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for parents being in their child's lives. Now you could argue public schools be, I that's a different conversation. Uh
Fair enough.
because I don't believe in this. This is not even spiritual, man, just the natural part of me. uh Children are raised with their parents for their life, until a certain age when they're
Mm-hmm.
mature, when they're able to go off. So I believe, or I think the best version of society is parents can, the children can be with the parent for however many years, 14, 15,
Mm-hmm.
16, 17, 18 years, without too much influence from the outside, unless permissed, unless their permission was given to them by the parent.
Right.
Um, so that's why I don't care about public schools. I'm like, damn, you sending your child off for that long to be around who knows what, so they can do whatever to learn some shit that you ain't telling your child. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not even with the whole school thing, just from a natural standpoint. But
Mm-hmm.
I hate to see what's happening to folks' children as they go to school and
Right.
talking about these things. Again, I don't want to talk about it too long because I just took that point. I can go off, but I did tell you I wanted to talk about one point, so you can go at it again if you want.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and because the main thing is there are certain things you're supposed to learn from your parents, right? You're supposed to learn protection and provision from your father. This is how you protect your family. This is how you provide for them. Whether it's, well, hey, dad goes around at night, he checks all the locks, make sure all the security systems are on, checks the outside, make sure there are no intruders that can harm our family. Right? Dad provides for us because he goes out to work. He comes home when the paycheck gets here. He's got enough to put food on the table, keep the roof over our heads. You're supposed to learn the culture from your mother. How are we to actually respond and interact with our fellow man? What is and is not acceptable when we're out and about in public? How does a family unit respond to different things that go on within the family? And so those aren't things you're supposed to outsource to strangers, more or less, right? It used to be the culture that we're including is actually education. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 × 2 is 4. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Those are parts of the culture that your mother taught you. I was homeschooled again, so I was almost like 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
So the culture was taught to me by my mother, and my father showed me what protection and provision is like. Anything else of that was supposed to be extraneous or a luxury. And now it's kind of weird because with the rise of independent wealth, you may not have time to do those things. So you're sending Johnny to learn martial arts because dad may not have enough time to show him how to actually perform the martial arts. Or, mom sending Sally to school because she can't stay home because she's got her own job and her own career. And so now that we've given rise to the independent wealth now and we can outsource things, it seems like we're also outsourcing protection, provision, and culture to strangers, which is why the saying goes is that liberals don't have to have children because they already have yours. I stole that from somebody on Tim Pool's show.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is. No. Oh, that is not an original. No. You will, when it's
Yeah.
an Eagle original, you will know.
Yeah.
That is not an Eagle original. But I understand what you mean is that, I understand why you're saying about education.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're taught these things, you don't really need to have to go to school. And it makes it even worse that if a child doesn't want to go to school and is repeatedly skipping school, the parents can actually be put in prison for the acts of the child not going to school. If the kid doesn't like school, and they're saying, well, hey, I'd rather pursue a trade. I don't need I don't feel like I need to go to high school. Well, then by all means, go out, contribute to society with a job. You know, learn a craft, learn a trade, and then go about our business. It doesn't have to affect your parents who are actually trying to work, who have to worry about the younger sister or the younger brother at that point. So I see what you mean. That's why I understand, and that's why parts of our conversation have been interconnected in that way.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's a perfect world, but I do think I was having this conversation with somebody, uh, that fuck, what was I saying? Uh, I completely forgot my point.
That's all good, bro.
But yes, in a perfect or in a natural. Oh, so my point was, or what I was saying was that the world that we living in right now is not conducive to the spiritual lifestyle or Christian lifestyle. I've been speaking on that a lot. I'm not trying to force anybody to be Christian or whatever, but I'm just saying those values which this country was founded upon, you start to see that how continuing to participate in this in this system, in this world, being just a cog in the machine, we're not lining up with what God wants for us or for a higher power wants for us. um and so again, so since you can't exactly say what's spiritual, what's of God, then I'm just looking at what's natural. All right. And then, like I said, some offspring should be chilling with their parents for whatever time that is relative to their species. So whatever us humans decide upon, our kids need to be right under our wing for that long. Like I hate to see a woman, like shit, when I was going to school and I would see a woman or a teacher, um she'll have a baby and she'll be out for like 2 weeks, maybe a month or some shit, and then she right back at the school. And I'm like, damn lady, like where your child at? Like how you get a caretaker so fast? Like how your kid feel about you being gone for this many hours out the day? And I'm like, man, that's just weird. Again, in a perfect world, fucking Lion King, okay? I'm Mufasa. I got my symbol right here. Okay, there's a whole bunch of lionesses. I ain't saying they mine, but they are part of the pride. I'm just meaning people, but it's our little thing, and we're raising our children. We're responsible for their education, their teaching, instilling values. And then we can get us a Rafiki to come over here and teach them the shit that we don't know, some otherworldly stuff or some, the education a part, or like a Zazu, have an advisor, like you have these people that you are in close relation with, that that you can trust to help you raise your child. It shouldn't be the responsibility of a government, some people who don't fucking know you, to make decisions on your child's behalf that affects y'all's life. Because again, then that could be manipulated, that could be turned into some welfare statism or some shit, incentivizing single parent homes and households and whatever. But yeah, man, there's no one solution. This shit goes deep, and it goes through a whole lot of, I guess, avenues and streets and whatnot. There ain't no solution, but we ain't gonna get there, folks, unless we talk about it. And we can't talk about it because folks don't want to admit truths. Now, speaking on the I don't know where you at. I guess you want me to just keep going.
No,
But
I think
okay,
I gotta check on Molly. Like she walked out a bit ago. Like I gotta look for her, make sure she's okay.
I got you. Make sure you
All
ain't got to
right.
back up. But
Yeah.
so I was telling you about how my personal experience and how I did work for. So I worked for the state, okay, and we was in charge of. We were the caregivers of the children of the state, the kids who parents like gave them up or didn't have no parents, unfit parents, yeah, whatever was going on. Uh, and so I was a educator to some. So I was a teacher assistant, but basically he was a security guard in the school and helped shit run good in case the kids pop off or but you still help teach them like order. I worked in the group home, so like I had to wake these kids up. We had to make sure they was doing their hygiene, eating their breakfast, driving them to school, stuff like this. So I was actually a mentor, a parental figure for a lot of children. And then I moved over into the education system, working in the actual school with these children. So I've seen both sides of that. And I mean, we have this video here about these people that are talking about they upset about them not being able to talk about their personal lives.
Okay.
From where I was working, it was actually they encouraged us. They pretty much told us you don't share your personal information with these children
Yeah.
because they can take advantage of that. They can use that against you. You know, the emotions ain't right. They can get pissed and then tell all your little secrets. You know what I'm saying? They
Mhm.
can the more personal you get with them, the more attached they are to you. So
Right.
then that triggers certain behaviors and like different stuff. So it was nothing but negatives could come from it. Whereas if you just did your job and just kept it cordial, kept it respectful, and kept talking about the task at hand, what was going on, and then of course you gave them those values, those little life skills along the way, if you could, to help, to do your part to try to help them to be good people going out into the world once they became of age. And I was working with teenagers, so they was, these dudes was bigger than me. I'm a short dude. I ain't a small dude, but I'm a short dude. So, but yeah, so we did have that role, but at the same time, there was rarely a time to where we shared anything personal. Now, this is an example of this what I'm gonna tell you this joke. There's a lot of them. Like I said, I'm working with fucking high school kids, so they wild. And they ain't
Okay.
got no limits, you know what I'm saying? They ain't got no
No cap.
they ain't got
There's
no
no
cap.
cap.
They ain't got
No
no
cap.
cap. So they was off the wall. So we had to entertain. We had to deal with a lot. We had to address some real shit. I was telling you, like we did have a few trans children.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess because no matter how much shit I talk and how much a person can call me all these terrible things, I am one of the most accepting and respectable, open-minded people that I know. So I was chosen to take this child to the gay club, once a
Mhm.
week, that they
Yeah.
had to get approved from different things. So again, bro, I was seeing this stuff early and not even knowing that it was going to get to this point that it is now. But that was going on. So, again, showed that kid love just like I showed the rest of them. As what I mean, like, we supposed to love everybody, love a neighbor as themselves, showing the same love and respect I gave everybody else. All right. And
Right.
then I tried to help them. I was like, all right, if you're gonna be trans, man, you just got to be a good person. Okay. Just be a great person. Figure out, love yourself, because a lot of people ain't. I was like, you're fortunate to grow up in a time to where y'all are being accepted. Okay. But don't make that all you are. Figure out
Right.
who you are, and again, how you can better your life, not your trans life, just your life,
Your life.
and
Right.
everything else will take care of itself. Once you see that value in you, then you like, okay, I got it. Life gonna move on. But that was this one joke, one of my kids, and look, bro, he black, he from the
Mhm.
ghetto. This nigga wild. All right. And he said, because they know I love my dogs, I was telling them like, they would see my dogs. I'd take my dogs to events, and I was like, yeah, I'm, on my dog training and stuff. That's what I'm in the process of doing. And
Mhm.
he was like, Mr. Jones, I bet you be having dogs watching when you be fucking your wife, don't it, Mr. Jones? he said, he said, I bet you, because I guess I had like dog hair on me and shit. So they like, I bet y'all be having dogs on the bed. Y'all be fucking, don't it, while you naked. And I was tripping. And I was like, bro, I can't fuck unless I got a dog looking in the room. And it's like,
Stupid.
I'm like, bro, you have to, again, these are older kids and they more mature.
Yeah.
And they, like I said, they cussing, they no cap at all. So they'll say whatever. But the kids like that. Again, I wasn't sharing personal information. I wasn't saying
Right.
I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I flip all that.
Yeah.
I just addressed the dumb shit that he said, and then we tripping. But it's like good people, once you show just in your actions, once these kids see how you move, you're not taking
Hmm.
offense to a joke. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting mad at everything that's happening. You're not blaming people for things that happen. You address some shit. You know what I'm saying? You move on. You can laugh about things, and we have a good time. And that's what the kids enjoyed. Okay, he didn't say, "Come on now, really tell me how you be fucking white." It wasn't none of that. You know what I'm saying? I addressed the joke jokingly, and then we laughed, and we moved on. So these people
Yeah.
that are saying which I'm gonna let the video speak for itself. But these people who are upset that they can't share their personal lives with these children, I'm like, what are you gaining by sharing your personal life with these children? Why do you need
Right.
to? You are to be held, in the,
High esteem. You're an
yeah,
educator.
yeah. So once you get all personal, you like open yourself up, then some stuff gonna come along with that. So
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say also the fact that they made the joke though. The main thing is joke was age appropriate. It is age appropriate. And a third grader did not ask you that. If
right,
anything,
right, right.
it would scare you that a third grader would ask you that, and it's so forward as if it was
Yeah,
nothing. He's like, brought up as if like if Johnny has 2 apples and he gets 2 more, how many apples does he have? Like if a kid says what you said in the third grade, it's third grade, and he said the way you said it, that would freak you out. You're like, hey, I gotta talk to you about your son, Chris. He's on something. Y'all need to stop watching HBO around him, okay?
yeah. You have to screen what he watching.
Exactly.
Y'all need to make sure y'all adult locked when y'all doing what y'all doing. But yeah, most definitely. That's why I said, bro, these were high school kids, so they was already mind going there. And the fact that the state that they were in, the setting, it was like it just opened up room for some more wild shit to happen. But when you talking about public school, these safe ass children for the most part in public school, and you so be teaching them ABCs, but you teaching them gay BCs and shit. It's like, why? What are you to gain? There's nothing but evil to come from that. Why are you teaching my children this shit when I haven't taught my children this shit, and I don't plan on teaching my children this shit? Okay, if my daughter come to me talking about she might be gay or something, or I ain't got no daughter, but I'm just saying, then I'd be like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. We'll talk about this when you're older. I'm not gonna be like, no, you ain't it. I'm not even gonna go into it because then if I demonize it, if I tell her something, then they're gonna be like, ooh, what is that? What just
Well,
triggered my parent?
well, yeah. Well, it's even that, and it's like, well, you have to ask, what do you mean by that? Because it used to be when people say you're gay, it means you're happy. So I don't know what version you're coming to me with gay. It's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, oh, well, just doesn't that mean that's when you skip all the time? Because I was skipping and Johnny said I'm gay. I was like, so does that mean I'm gay? He's like, that's not what that means, son. You just like to skip. So just skip. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know. Because you don't know at what angle a kid's coming at you from. And so if you immediately have an emotional reaction to it that's negative or harmful, the kid's either going to want to do that more or even harder because it got a rise out of you when they may not have been shown anything, or they're going to learn to withhold things from you, which is how you have Florida's bill.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what you're talking to my kid about because I need to make sure that I'm having open dialogue with my kids so that they can bring things to me, even if they might be uncomfortable. I don't want them to feel like they need to hide it from me, and I definitely don't want you hiding that from me. So, yeah.
I'm gonna address Wolf Guy in the chat. He said I had a friend whose dad used to flirt with the female teachers, and he was like, bruh,
Dad's true play for real.
Look, bro, come on now. You can't just be mad at the man. Did he have a wife? Okay. And I feel you if he was just out there just doing it in front of the child, and the child's like, come on, man, go do this to my mom. Like, come on, like,
yeah.
I feel you. That's messed up. But okay. I guess he was doing it in the open. If you as a child, a younger person was able to see it. So yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, that's fucked up. I take it back. I'm not gonna demonize flirting in itself, okay? But yeah, I feel you. All in front of the kids and shit. You supposed to be there for, what's that, dude? Donuts for dads. That's what my dad had to come through. And he in the meeting with the donut talking about. Let me see. With the donut.
Oh
man. But yeah, that's so that's wild. But I guess we can go on and watch this video. Let me make sure it's the actual video.
Okay.
All right, so this time this is a Young Rippers video, and he's let me go on and give you a little, what's that intermission or something. Like, you good? We chilling. I'm burning up. I'm sweating in here, but I'm good to go. I'm loving the conversation. How do you feel? You good to keep going?
Oh, I'm good. Keep it going, man.
All right. So the next video we gonna watch is addressing what we were just talking about, like people in the education system feeling like they got more authority than they actually do. And when you take that authority they think they have definitely away from them, or tell them that there can be legal consequences to their actions, then you get the emotional response. So that's what we about to check out now. The closed caption on, I think it's on.
Thank you, good sir. We're all here for the hearing impaired around here.
What'd you say? My bad.
I guess we support closed captioning for the hearing impaired over here.
Okay. You know what? I didn't even share my screen. Let me share that.
Oh, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, okay.
I was just watching it by myself. I forget you. All right.
There we go. All right, go ahead.
Now they think this is like an own of sort. We're gonna listen. I'm gonna comment on it, but we're gonna listen to what the motherfucker had to say.
We're gonna comment now. This is the video because I'm gonna plug that video. If I'm gonna use, I'm gonna cite him. Groomer's mad. That's the name of the video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna use it. But that's Ripper's. Go to him for Canon's sake. I mean, Young Ripper 5'9", Eric D. July.
And let's just listen in. Just listen in.
Yeah, it's twofold. It really hits hard in my heart professionally and personally, both. Professionally, it truly makes me feel like I am not trusted as a professional. I know my kindergarten standards through and through, and nowhere in our curriculum does it have anything about teaching sexual orientation or sexual identity.
Okay, so keep that in mind. What the fuck you bitching about then? If that were to be true.
Yeah, so if it's not in the curriculum, if you don't have to teach it, what you bitching about? It must seem like you're upset that you can't talk to these kids personally about this shit. Did you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I mean it's weird. If anything, you'd want to be kind of say, okay, well, I understand where parents are coming from about this. I know it may not say that, but I don't know if there was any legislation prior to this that said you couldn't do either. Do you get what I mean? Sometimes you do things preemptively instead of, I guess reactively. So it looks like they're trying to be proactive with saying, in case you were even thinking about it, don't. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the case, well, what do you have to be in your feelings about to that extent? Especially if you're teaching kindergarten. That's a very weird emotional reaction to have when you teach 5-year-olds.
Right. When like in my example, it was high school kids. So that conversation is coming up, but with children, they not asking about what you do with your PP or what you do with your some or what you like and all that type of stuff.
Right.
What you like my picture? You like my picture? That what these kids on. I mean,
exactly.
It's probably a little bit smarter than that, but
nah, that sounds age appropriate and correct. You got it right the first time. You like my picture? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go take a nap now.
I'm gonna take a nap. Yeah, so
that's it.
And then to hear this man say kindergarten, bro, it's like what you crying about? I can't think of a scenario where you would have to be telling your kids about it. I think we probably speaking too much. He ain't said, too much.
Yeah. Let it play out a little bit. We'll see if he brings anything up about it.
Yeah. Let me go back to it. Here we go.
If that were to be true, now my solution is that all public schools be eliminated. I want to set the scene for that because I think this whole conversation is fucking retarded, and the fact that there still exists this archaic ass system is one thing. But okay, so he is saying that the curriculum at no point required them to teach sexual orientation. So if, let's say, the bill does not allow you to do that, then there would be no alteration to what it is that you're doing. Am I wrong there?
Right, I agree. So if you're doing your job and you're doing it professionally, this bill does not impact it whatsoever. So you're just like, okay, can't do that.
Move along. Yeah.
All right, kids. So today, yesterday we learned A. Today we learned it B. Like that's how you go about that. What is this whole emotional response?
Right.
And like we did show, or you read and I showed, it did speak of sexual orientation. You can't speak to a child on sexual orientation, period. So straight people can't even talk about straight
Straight people,
sexual things
right?
with children. So I guess this is probably thinking of the extreme, but it happened. Shit, Wolf guy just told us like you have people that's going. Well, no, he said a parent going after teachers, but I'm thinking like you have male teachers who go after female students. Shit, you got female
Right.
teachers to go after male students.
Yeah.
So they can't do any grooming, themselves without consequences being implemented.
Right.
So why? Hey, maybe I'm saying something without saying it by asking this question, but why is this group having such an emotional response from this bill? But like you said, they ain't got children of their own, so they gonna have to go and accumulate some
Yep.
or acquire some,
Acquire some. Yep.
acquire some. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What the fuck?
In the words of Walter from The Big Lebowski, am I wrong?
That's happening. It's kind of crazy. But we should be able to have discussions, and that's what we're encouraged to do in kindergarten. And then personally, because my kids do have questions. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak.
All right, so
this man said we gotta have these discussions. These are fucking children. What are you talking about? When I was teaching, when I was responsible for the little kids, I was talking about what superheroes you like, what cartoons you like. I kept it at their level. Why am I allowing them to come to mind? Why am I elevating their intellect when they're not ready for it? And then he's saying the kids asking questions about my partner on the what do you say, the picture out on the wall outside or some shit.
Yeah. He probably has a picture near his desk with him and his partner.
Wow.
But what goes with what you said, it would be it's the same thing for straight couples too.
Yeah.
So if you just ask, like, hey, what'd you do this weekend, Mr. Jones? Oh, went to paddleboard. Oh, that was cool. How was it? I liked it. How was your weekend? That's it.
Yeah.
That's as personable as you should get because they're children. Everyone's favorite topic is themselves. Especially with the kids, like they want to know, like, hey, want to hear what I did this weekend? But I know that I have to get something. I have to give something. So I'm going to ask how your weekend is. That is not an invitation for you to tell me about your partner. That's just, I need to get to the part where it makes more about me because I want to tell you what I did this weekend. Because look at me. We went and got a puppy. Oh my goodness. What's the puppy's name? Truffles. Oh my God. That is such a beautiful dog. You did a great job. And that's age appropriate. That is at their level. And that builds a relationship with the child without having to have any extras. And that's wholesome. That's something that you can tell the parents about. That's something the kid will remember. And it's all kosher.
Yep. Right. You were talking about the paddleboard, and I think he did say it in his video. I would have been like, I almost fell. I'm not a great swimmer. You know what I'm saying? I need to learn how to swim. Do you know how to swim? Do you know? I guess hold on, because a grooming person could say trying to see the kid in the bikini or some shit, but in the little shorts. But like you said, make it about them. Can you swim?
Right.
And then because again, I be talking to people. A lot of people wasn't taught to swim or didn't have the comfortability around water. So it's like me again as a mentor type figure. I will, I'm in a school setting. You're supposed to, I guess, expose the kids to, I don't want to say other ways of thinking, but the knowledge that they're probably not getting at home academic wise. All right. And then, so I know me as an artist, whenever I met a teacher that had an interest in art, I was like, oh shit, that's another human being that has the skill to create stuff that I do. That's how I connected with a lot of my students. As again, with the younger students, they see you draw a character and they just like, oh my goodness, why you ain't making cartoons? You good as the rest of them, So again, making it about them or making it about, again, a little personal skills that they could, and then they'd be like, hey, we could go swimming or talk to the parent or like, some shit like that. I don't know. Like, I do believe from my background in education, I do believe that there is a way that you can be personal with your students without entering your personal life. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Well, yeah, the way you used to do that was through sports. You could
Right, right.
explain morals and values. I played baseball growing up till I was 12, and then once we moved to Texas from Illinois, I didn't really have any friends when it was time to go to high school. So my dad said, join the football team because you will make friends. Well, I'm like, well, how is that going to happen? Well, we're in a situation in an environment where you're constantly banging up against each other, trying to learn plays where it takes 11 men doing the right thing to score a touchdown. You learn about teamwork. You understand what it's like to be in the trenches, so to speak, because football is the closest thing you can get to mimicking war. You got the head coach is your general. The actual soldiers are your lineman, your quarterback, your running back, your wideouts, your tight end. And so you wind up learning things more about life that way. You get to understand metaphors about, hey, you have to do the right thing to accomplish the goal.
Right.
Anytime you make a misstep or you don't remember your role in this team environment, it costs everyone. And they would say that's what the penalty is. Hey, you move the goalpost at 10 yards, or you false start, back up 5 yards. Now you have to go even further to get to where you need to be. When if you've done the right thing, you would have started off on the right foot. The way that you would introduce concepts of morality and values, it used to be through sports, or if you weren't athletically inclined, could have been chess club. For people that respond impulsively, chess would tell you need to make sure you're thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead of the next person. Or if you're going to do a gambit, you need to know, okay, that means I have to move my pawn has to go 2 steps to occupy the center, or need to open up for my bishop to, you would learn about these stratagems and what their metaphors would be through sport or through games of strategy. And it seems like we're not even focusing on those because those were the perfect because they were so universal. Right. Now we're just talking about, oh, I'm upset because I can't tell, my 5-year-old about my personal life, when what the kid really would need to know about morality and values, you can explain that through art, about, putting pen to paper, focusing on something, letting it be its own form of therapy. There are so many other avenues than just telling about your personal life that you can actually teach a child more than they would ever know. And that's the part that's really, it's really glaring here. That instead of focusing and saying, oh, I understand the point of this bill, but it's going to cut both ways. It's, if you want to say it's an anti-groomers bill, that works for same-sex and heterosex. So it's a pro-parenting bill for both of those. And so, okay, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because I really enjoy football. I'm the football coach. So I get to teach the young men about making decisions that are going to impact the rest of the people on their team. So I'm not concerned about this bill because it has no bearing on me teaching morality and values through the game of football, or, through art, through drawing, and through stratagems through chess.
Right. Yeah, so it seems like I guess that personal or those values that you as an educator could instill in children at a safe level, because again, the bill speaks on talking about sexual type things.
Mm-hmm.
But at no point have we said anything on like connecting to a child about sex. It's about values.
Right.
People can still, well, he a kindergarten teacher, so like I said, bro, teaching the kid he should learn how to swim. I feel like that's a safe way to try to instill a value in a child. Like when you fall, don't panic, try to be comfortable. That's how I tell children when I'm around, and like my nieces and nephews or something, and we trying to swim. It's like, just be comfortable in the water. Don't let it overtake you. Don't panic. Believe in yourself. All right. Control your movements and you'll move. You can move yourself through the water at your own rate. And so it seems like we can help teach kids these things, but with those extracurriculars, with those other activities.
Right.
When it comes to the academic, we need to be talking about academic. And again, you want to talk about values and instilling those in children. None of those have anything to do with sex.
Right.
So if that's your goal, and if you can do that within the limitations of, within the rules, then do that. This bill ain't got shit to do with that or stopping that.
Right.
All right, back to that video.
Right.
So, listen in on this.
Outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak to that.
So do you worry that you won't even be able to talk about your own personal home life? I mean, I have a child in kindergarten right now. I know exactly that my child has 2 teachers, one of which has a daughter at home and is single. The other is married and has 4 children. I know everything about their
Why
lives
does
because my kid
why does the
tells
kid
me.
know that?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Why does the kid know that with such detail?
Right. Why did you shouldn't know that.
Right, she shouldn't. Like, why does the child know that, and then why does it know it with such detail? So you talking about it with the kid, which you shouldn't have. I remember elementary school, so the thing about my elementary school is a lot of my teachers, they children went there. So,
Yeah.
so that's how we would
You
know
knew.
them.
Right.
Yeah, or you'll see them with their child, when they come to the school, some shit like that. But it's like these folks weren't just sitting down telling me this is my life, this what's going on, this happened,
Right.
So like this child know details and can relay them back to the parent. I wonder how many other details or how many other stories are there of children relaying details back to a parent, and the parent's like, "What the fuck? I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down to this school right now."
That's none of my because that's none of my child's business.
Yeah.
They should know about your relationship status.
Yeah.
I understand kids gonna be kids, ask questions, but hey, we're not gonna talk about that in school, Johnny. Let's move on to other stuff. But why can't we? Because I'm not gonna get sued. That's why, Johnny. Let's move along.
I would think an adult is smart enough to deflect a conversation like that from a kindergartner.
Exactly.
You don't see
if you can't win that argument or that discussion, you're not cut out for this, sir.
Yeah, I don't think you qualified to be teaching them anything.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And apparently, she doesn't find it weird that she knows all of this shit.
Exactly.
You are 100% correct. That's what we do as educators. We build relationships with our kids.
That's no. All right. While I will understand that being let's say, an educator has a level of trust, right? That you are not feeding this person bad information. Your job, though, isn't to just for the relationship in itself to exist. That's providing really this is street service. You can. Oh no!
Whoa.
To build relationships.
Why are you there?
Oh
Now-
boy.
Yeah, now I am gonna skip through like their commentary. I hear like a little bit, I don't want to take away from their content and show their content.
Yeah.
Definitely go to their channel.
Nah, that's
And then we see the picture that he got.
Yeah, that's oh my goodness.
Bro, say that's my best friend and keep it moving.
I mean, wouldn't be lying.
Right.
Wouldn't be lying. You would
That's
not be lying, and that's the extent of the relationship. Best friend.
Right. And then keep it at the child level. Okay, he got a best friend.
You got a best friend? Exactly. Johnny, who's your best friend? Billy. All right, cool. That's your best friend. He's my best friend, and that's your best friend. Now let's go ahead and learn about our ABCs today.
And in order to build relationships, you talk about your home life. You talk about what you do.
No. Time out, goddammit. Time the fuck out. No. That is not that's not what you're there for, man. It's there for mom. That.
Don't what you there for.
Scares me.
Wow. There's a lot of photos we didn't.
That's building community. Okay. It scares me that I am not going to be able to have these conversations with my children.
That is so bizarre, bro. This guy he's talking about.
All right, so
that's a lot. Yeah, I'm trying to think about it. I'm trying to think if this is the lens of you teach senior level calculus or maybe civics for upperclassmen in high school. I could see that he may or could have a point, but they're 5.
Right.
And it's like too deep of a conversation you're trying to have with a kid who still puts boogers underneath the table.
and eat glue. I used to eat eraser. Nigga, a pencil come to me and had only the metal part because I done chewed the eraser out of it.
You're ridiculous.
I was an animal before I knew I was. I was saying
Oh my goodness. You civilized savage. Oh my god.
Exactly. You know it,
So
bro. Yeah, bro. We ate weird shit. We had no concept of fucking of anything. We was just
right.
experiencing. We was just doing stuff. And you might reference what your parents might say, you know, here and there, because that's all you had. But it was just like, I'm about to try something and I'm gonna see what happens.
What happens, right? That's how you find. That's how you learn stuff.
So in that same mentality, you know, children think that way. Why are these people putting this stuff in kids' heads so that they can try some shit and see what happens?
Yeah.
And they just inducted you into the gay hall of shame.
Exactly. I mean,
I said it.
Yeah, we just about wore that one out. I mean, but yeah.
Ain't no wrong with being gay. Ain't no wrong with being gay with my last comment. You know, ain't no wrong. See, that's a slippery slope. I don't treat people shouldn't be treated any differently if they are gay. I'll say that.
No.
Any judgment I have shouldn't mean anything to you, gay person, whoever you are. That's between you and God or whoever you worship. Okay? So I'm just gonna make that clear. I love everybody the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to understand that people are people. It's just the fact that whenever you push something on someone else, don't be surprised that they may not immediately just go with it. You know, as much as I love guns, I don't really put that on anyone. I just say why it is important to at least have a knowledge and an understanding of it. But I'm like, I didn't even put on you when we first met. I never put guns out there. I just said, hey, I got to go because I'm trying to go get some range time in. I just so happened to, in that passing comment, to figure out that you were actually interested in it and didn't know much about it.
You was enthused as hell. I will say that.
I was like, I enjoy it. It's just I'm not gonna say, man, you don't have a Glock on you, bro. How do you live right now? You know, I didn't put any of that on.
You sound like me trying to get a nigga to drink almond milk.
I was just telling you the benefits without pushing it on you and making it a negative that you didn't know about these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? They aren't, because there are people that are about guns to that extent, to the point where if you don't have one, what are you doing with your life? Get your whole life together. So it's like, if the way you live is the way you live, and I find out in passing that that's a part about you, okay, I know that now, and I can respect that, because you're not immediately putting it on me or putting me into an awkward position to where I feel like I'm defending myself for having my own thoughts and opinions on the matter. Mm-hmm. And that's a part of a value you learn in life, is that, you know, treat people with respect in general. No matter if they're the janitor or they're the CEO, we treat them with respect, because that's a basis from which you form all your relationships. It should be built off respect.
And bro, that reminds me of a conversation like we talking about. You just said treat everybody with respect, and that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Again, love thy neighbor as yourself. Okay, so if you love and you treat people with respect, that means you ain't gonna do no harm by them. Okay, you ain't gonna cause them no issues per se. But when they forcing us to use fucking, you know, words and all these pronouns and shit, like I was having this conversation with one of them, and I was saying, first of all, they don't combat any point that you make during the conversation. Okay, specifically we're talking about the trans shit, but they don't combat any point that you actually speak about. And then you're an ableist. What, I don't know what the fuck that is, but yeah, I believe in people being able to do shit. You know, whatever's in your power, your will, do it. What you can. Ableist, you know what I'm saying, homophobic, transphobic, I don't know, whatever else they want to call you. But so I was telling these people, I was like, okay, so everything that you accuse me of, straw man and attacking people, I'm like, that's been exactly what's happening to me. Yet y'all don't understand that you doing it, but it's okay for you, you know, to tell me that I'm doing it. What was my other point with that? Well, I don't know, but saying
Let's treat people with respect at the basic level.
yeah. So I didn't get the respect that I was given during this conversation, and then later on, this person like because they run in packs. Now I hate that. I don't want to say that. They run in mobs because packs, that's a wolf reference. I don't even need no negative connotations. So they run in mobs, okay, and one of them came out and was like, and I can't believe you're saying these things, Antoine. My name Antoine. I don't give a fuck. All right, so y'all know, but it's A. But yeah, so she, this is what she said because you seem to be a pretty, pretty smart, respectful guy, a kind person. When we went to school, and I was like, wow, okay, I appreciate you for acknowledging that I didn't treat you any different than I treated anybody else. And I was, treat you with the utmost respect. I was kind, you want to have a conversation. Cool. We was there. We mutually, enjoyed art. So I'm glad you told me that at no point did I treat you like the shit that you claiming that
Right.
I am. Yet you can sit here and not give me that respect and call me all these type of things and put all this type of shit on me. So it's like there's no self-awareness, and these people are so delusional or caught up in their own brains, and they think that they're right, they're perfect. There's no self-improvement that needs to be done to where then people who oppose them, uh, again, we're all types of terrible shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really fear for that future when people are acting out of emotion, and therefore, once you have people to respond emotionally enough and agree, then any type of aggression would be justified on the opposition,
Right.
because they're terrible people, and we can't let terrible people continue to run wild like free range chickens or some shit.
Yeah. 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 I mean, everyone says that they always want to have a discussion, but it sounds like the discussions they want to have are either someone that agrees completely with what they're saying, or that's going to be incredibly antagonistic, and it's only to show how emotional the other side reacts. So, I mean, a general dialogue, even if it's a discussion, if you have two differing opinions, it should be still based on the fact of respect. I'm going to let you hear your point. I want to hear, you're going to hear my point. But, it's brave of you to actually to come onto the show to have the discussion, or for me to go on your show to have the discussion, because I know that, if we're making things about the duality of conservatives and liberals, that usually conservatives will bring on the conservative of a different minority who agrees with what they're saying, or the liberals will bring on their minority who's going to agree with what they say. So when you have a situation like Bill Maher going on Ben Shapiro, or Ben Shapiro going on Bill Maher, they make it a momentous occasion because you don't see people that have opposing views sitting together and it actually being a respectful dialogue, which is something you're supposed to learn in debate in like junior high and high school.
Bro, I didn't have no debate class in my school. To be real.
Okay, but I mean, well, at least in government, you understand about the different political parties, but they could always have discussions. You have your time to speak. I have my time to speak. We give it to the people for a vote, and whoever makes the best logical argument is going to get the votes that gets what they want passed. And so that's how things are generally supposed to work, instead of we got people only bringing on their side, and only when they bring on someone that has a differing opinion, they either try to make them feel like they're going to be inferior in this debate, or they're trying to gaslight the person to making completely absurd remarks or something that's completely irrational. They don't want to have a nuanced debate where, I see why you feel that, you're seeing that, but I also see why this other person's view, I see why that matters as well. And then it's left up to you to decide how you're going to be moving forward. You're just supposed to be more of an informed society instead of choosing sides like it's a gang war.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like.
And especially when if you don't agree just because your side says it, then I'm going to, repeat those same lines, or I'm going to believe in it because my side believe in it. not taking into account what do I actually believe.
Believe myself, right?
Yeah, myself. And when and when I said we didn't have a debate team, bro, you know what? I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did because we definitely had we had our government like classes and whatnot. I recall definitely being involved in discussions. I'm gonna say this, because I speak about a whole lot of black people, black this, black advancement, but there's no black world or black utopia. I do feel like we're all, hey, bro, it's everybody who we got here, and we're gonna have to make it work. Um, so with the Miles Morales, this is not about him, but I made a point like how Miles had no positive male figures that were specifically black or that looked like him. Because his uncle was a piece of shit in the comic, and his dad didn't approve of mutants. So, he was telling Miles like focus on school, fuck that like art shit or any extracurriculars you got going on. So he was that person. So Miles didn't have a black role model, and I'm like, okay, what does this say? What you trying to say about the real black family or whatnot? But then you had, my point with that one guy saying that the Spider-Man Peter Parker had to come from the main universe and give Miles his web shooters, and he served as like a mentor. So I have no issue with the white mentor. My thing with Miles is he had nobody that looked like him that could fulfill that role as well. Now you could have taken that person away like Uncle Ben to mirror that story. He still would have been tokenized Peter Parker. Yet you would have done your justice by giving me that figure and for long enough in the story, to be that positive black male role model in Miles's life, as opposed to him having to rely on a white man from a whole nother universe that he was, trying to take. He's taking his name essentially, which he didn't even take his father's name. Hell, his last name Morales, so he got his mama name. I don't know how that shit worked. I know it happens, but just all those things, the disrespect. But anyway, we was talking about school. So I said all that to justify me loving on this white teacher I had one time. But but I had this one teacher, bro, and he was white, maybe that's important to some. But I'm just gonna put that out there, to fit everything that I'm saying. But this dude taught me, like, we read books. Okay, now I can't give you no example of a book because I don't want to be lying, because I had multiple teachers that had us reading. I was fortunate enough to go to a good high school, but he'll have us read, and he was like, okay, what is the author trying to say? Like, we was reading a lot of fucking Shakespeare type shit, like that type of stuff. So he was like, what are they saying? These words are saying this, but what is the feeling? And you looking at, this line after this. And I think the author is trying to say that, your depression can lead you to do this, but that if you can come out of it and all this, and then you slay this dragon and all this type of shit. So he had me like really to think critically about the media or that the stuff that I was seeing, that I was consuming. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, you know what? Me being the critical thinker that I've always been for the most part, and then hearing that person actually translate that or show me how that skill can be used with literature, and then you translate that to comics or movies, whatever media that it is that you digesting. But I said that to say that I don't think a lot of people actually get that kind of training, to think critically and to be able to have conversations, because our assignment was to go and find these themes in the stories. And then we come to class and then we compare notes. We like, all right, how you feel? Did you get the same thing? Okay, y'all disagree. Okay, why? Combat those points, like talk about it. So it was like, I don't think a lot of people get that training to actually do that and think critical of the media that they're consuming. And that's why you have people that just like all these normies that just see something and be like, "Ooh, we love it." Like on my fucking Miss Marvel video, how they not Miss Marvel, one of them Robins from the Gotham Knight series.
That's something.
Yeah. So they race swapping her for the black girl, and I'm like, again with Miles, like the race swapping of Peter, it's like, just because you put black up there does not mean good. Okay.
Right.
think critically. What else is happening around this this black character? What is this author? What is this creator trying to say by the art, by the things that he's not saying? Yeah, being an artist, I
Right.
learned that, it's a picture. You have to convey your feelings, with just images. And then you start to learn that every decision put into media or into an art piece, which is again movies, cartoon, actual 2D art or whatever, the artist is making those decisions and being conscious about what do I want people to feel and how do I make that happen. And then also, what little shit do I want to slide in there that they ain't gonna catch that I know is in there so I can laugh, and enjoy people looking over that. Uh Appreciate you, Wolf Guy. He left. He been here for a long time. We here for 2 hours, son.
Yeah,
Killing it, man.
going strong, going strong, going strong.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying about that. Like, ain't nobody mad at, white mentors or having these different people of color and shit. Like, just my thing is just pay attention to everything that's happening. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you got on that? You have any?
No, man, you got you had all of that one, man. Nah, you got all that one. I mean, some of the life lessons that I learned from some of my teachers, they were white. It was just like, the most important thing I ever learned in a classroom was to know that you know that you know, and that relates to almost anything. So when I do the research that we do for this podcast, it's because I want to know that I know before I put it out there. Because if someone challenges what I'm putting out there, I don't know. You may not know if it's because they have their own agenda or they're really asking for clarification. So, I really don't have anything against white educators either. So, I take what I can because the knowledge you're trying to give me is usually universal. So it means it can be applied universally.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to some of the black characters, one of the main black characters that I would actually recall, I forget how old I was, would have been when Star Trek Deep Space Nine came out. That was pretty much after The Next Generation with Captain Picard. So they had Captain Sisko, and he was black, but they didn't make it about him being black. They made it more about him being a commander in a federation that was on I guess it was kind of a starship that wasn't at the Enterprise. It was from another race of aliens. And so they had to commandeer that and take over it. He was also a father. So you got to see how he took off the commander's hat and put on his dad hat to actually pay attention to his son. He was also a widower. So how do you deal with the loss of a loved one while you're still being a commander and you have a son to try to raise in all of this going on? And so, he actually would show you his mentors, some of which were black, some of which were alien. So it's like, well, hey, you don't have to necessarily always look for the person that looks like you to get those life lessons on how to be a man, how to handle business, how to be a father. And so I never really was trying to look for someone that looked like me to give me certain tools and advice, because I was getting that from, number one, my father in general. And number two, you're finding out that an alien can give you advice about how to handle life. And, the white character and there's the Vietnamese character. So I guess these concepts are universal. So I don't necessarily have to see myself to get and take in the information.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my takeaway from that.
Yeah, I guess more so you see that a character struggles, so you identify with their struggle.
Right.
And that's because we all have those. We all go through trials and tribulations, but to see a person overcome that, so then you like, oh, which is basically what superheroes are. We didn't care about the color of their skin. We saw them going through some shit. Like Peter Parker, bro. I keep saying Peter because Spider-Man my favorite superhero, then the Incredible Hulk. But it's like, to see him, this was the dude had a burden that I couldn't imagine myself having growing up. Your parents not being there, and then you got your old geriatric aunt and uncle, okay, and then your uncle being taken out of the picture. So it's like, damn, suddenly you're the man of the house. So now I guess like late high school life or over into college, but it's like he had all of that responsibility put on him, so he felt the weight of that personal world as well as the responsibility of, you know, the world, because he's Spider-Man as well. So to see that character go through that and use his powers, but again his intellect, and see his character build in order to take on that, it's like, bro, that's contributed, of course, my father, but these stories, these myths that we have, helped us be like, you know what, it's some responsibility gonna put on me. I'm not so special to where ain't shit wrong gonna happen to me, you know, into my life, or that's gonna affect me. It's how do I, you know, pick myself up? We keep moving forward, and then we be better, or we try to make something like that not happen again in the future. And that's all you needed to, I guess, see representation
Right.
in media.
Right.
Yeah, skin color is real superficial, and then also different perspectives. Like I was saying from my teacher, it's like people live different lives and different cultures, you know, have different experiences. I can only I can only consume in one, you know what I'm saying, one source. You will only what emulate that. You will only just be the next generation of that. And you know, I saw my folks and I was like, okay, I see what y'all doing. Y'all gave me a great start, but I don't really want to repeat that. I want to,
Right.
you know, go take what you done gave me and go further with it. Like
Build on it. Yeah.
yeah, build on it. Like Midoriya with the One for All. I don't know if you watch My Hero Academia, but it's like the power that you've given me, I want to take that, add my own to it, and then pass that on to my heir or to the next generation or whoever, you know, whatever relationships I build, I want to be able to pass that on.
Exactly. But you know, I mean, while we are on superheroes, you know, some of the, you know, the kind of leads us to the next situation we want to talk about, or just the next topic was, you know, most of the heroes that we follow, you know, we usually follow them in comic book form. So now that we actually, one thing we actually did want to talk about as far as heroes, no capes, who actually want to get to into some part of the comic books, you know, as far as, you know, some of our favorites, our recommends, and so on. So, I mean, I can let you start off with that because I know you got everything in the background. You see what I got in the background. So, I mean, as far as comic books, what was part of the topic we did want to discuss?
Yeah, we was just talking about I guess comic. Well, for me, it's just my favorite comic book so far, you know, in my comic book life. Um, but I would rather you actually go first because you're a long
Okay.
time comic book fan.
Okay.
And you've been in this comic book game way longer than I have, so that you can go ahead and bring your knowledge to the table, as
Okay.
well as what we was talking about earlier, with I guess kind of explaining, you know, the different sizes of the books and
Okay.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you bring us that, man, and then I'll pop in with my recommended.
All right. Cool. So, in general, the way comics usually work is you'll see a single issue come out. Sometimes they'll do it maybe once every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, and it'll be, hey, issue one is usually going to be the start of the character's arc for the hero's journey. So, as a reference point, I got one of these out. I actually really love this comic, Super Sons. This is the first issue that came out, and so you could just see it's a single issue in a bag that's boarded. You know, it's pretty thin, but it's usually like the first issue of the for the comic, right? And so you'll probably, after a few months, they'll put issues 1 through 6 together in what you would call a trade or a volume. So they'll say, well, hey, volume 1 includes issues 1 through 6. Exactly. Boom. There you go. So that's the side comparison for thickness. So you can actually see that those would be, if you put 6 of those single issues together, you would wind up having a trade or a volume. Now, for some people that would say, well, hey, you know what? Can I get volume 1 through 5 put together to kind of save space? Of course. They'll typically call that an omnibus. So another one, for example, would be The Boys. Really love this comic. Again, size comparison on the side here would show you that, hey, if I put volumes 1 through 3 together, it would look like this in an omnibus. Now, gets a little bit more complicated if you say, well, hey, I know that you have 5 omnibuses. Can you put those 5 omnibuses together and call it something? Yeah, they call it a compendium. So, size reference, this is the first compendium for Invincible, and bam, that is a thickums right there. And so this is actually one of 3 compendiums for the comic Invincible. So those are pretty much the size comparisons when you get into reading comics. And so typically what someone might do is they'll read the first issue to see if they even like the art, if they like the writer for this particular character, or if the story that they're telling for this potential volume is actually going to be good. And so I know that sometimes with me and some of my friends, we just read the first volume and say, you know what, I like this volume, I like this issue, the single issue that I read, and I'm going to wait until, they come out with the volume. And so we'll put a reminder in for about 4 or 5 months when they make the first volume available. And so some comic books will have 3 volumes, and that'll be the entire story, and they'll be done. Some have 10 volumes that they put into a few omnibuses and maybe a compendium. Some stories, they will have at least 3 or 4 compendiums put together. It's all based on how you like to collect. Some people just like to show, hey, I got volumes 1 through 10. I got the whole series, and it's my bookshelf. It looks just like a library would, but with my volumes of comics. Some people, to either save money or to save space, will buy the omnibuses and the compendiums so that they've got the full story all in one. Some people like to buy the volumes in hardcover. Some people like trade paperback, which is the soft cover that I have here. So it all depends on your preference, but that's the terminology behind the comics when they put them together.
Let me ask you this. So when I got into collecting comics, I recall I was in the comic book shop, and I forgot how the conversation started, but I was looking for like a volume. Because my reluctance to get into comics earlier was I was like, comics have been going for longer than me, and they sell these issues, these little books, and I'm like, I don't know, I doubt I can find all those issues.
Right.
So as I got into it, I remember the comic book owner telling me like, well, you can buy you could just buy volumes and you don't have to find all of the issues. And he said, and I was like, okay, cool, I could just buy the volumes of a comic that come out. And he was like, well, hold on. He was like, you have to get enough issues, which means the comic has to sell well for them to keep making it, so that you can actually get a volume. So he was like, if people are not supporting the actual issues, like the comic itself, then the chances of a volume or compendium and is I guess lower, diminished because of that. What's your thoughts on that? Or let me get your insight, your perspective.
Typically the ones that tend to get to the point where it's a compendium or an omnibus were really popular when they initially came out. So like the one that I showed you, The Boys, that's from like the 90s. And so because it was so popular in issue form and volume form, they went on to reprint it as an omnibus. And there might even be a compendium somewhere because of how popular it was when it came out. And so typically that's why you see such, I guess, an effort put into the marketing for the first issue of something, because if they can generate enough sales from the first issue, it can say, well, hey, I can put this into a volume form because enough people bought the first issue. Now, it might depend on the writer and the artist's contract, because they can already be contracted for 2 volumes. So it's going to get at least 15, 20 issues. Okay. So at that point, you're saying, well, I don't necessarily need to buy the single issue. I did buy the single issue to figure out if I would be interested in it. And now that I know that you're contracted for 1 or 2 volumes for this character with this comic book company, I can wait to buy the volume when it comes out. And so if you buy the volume and your friend buys the volume and a lot of other people buy the volumes, well, then that says that, okay, well, we can extend this beyond the 2 volumes that the person was signed for. Typically, when you're worried about an issue getting to the point where a volume, you've got an issue with people wanting to buy that first issue that comes out. And so if you have the stumbling blocks there, then, I was only contracted for 5 or 6 issues. And so they might decide to put that as a trade. That happens too. So it just depends on how popular the book is when it comes out and the contract for the artist and the writer. Gotcha. And so it winds up being kind of complicated. It just depends on what aspect you want to know about the character. Where like, well, hey, I want to know about the Clone Saga for Spider-Man. Like that might be in I know that's in volume and even omnibus form because it was so long, because it went so many issues. And I think it went for almost 2 or 3 years at some point. So they put it all together for an omnibus and a compendium. But it just winds up being part of the issue can be where you want to get in with the character. I think that's what you mean to an extent, right? If you're trying to figure out about a character, where do I actually jump in? Because I don't want to read Spider-Man from the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't necessarily like the new stuff because there's too much going on. And so that's where the actual people that work at your local comic book shop or your LCS can actually help. If you tell them, like, hey, I actually want, can I just read a self-contained story that's 1 volume about this character? Just so I can know what's going on, so that if I want to read, I can branch out when I'm comfortable reading the story. They can help you out with that.
Gotcha. All right, man. No, Jim, my question. You can continue with your comic. My bad.
No, that's fine. I mean, because that's what when we actually went to the comic book store, that was the question you had about Spider-Man, because you're like, well, hey, I don't necessarily like everything that's going on with the character right now, but I'm not gonna read that version from 1968 or the 70s. So I remember that they recommended for you was Spider-Man: A Life Story, because it just says, what if all the stories you heard happened to Peter Parker from the age of 16 to the age of 80? What would that look like? And you got that self-contained story to read, and you're satisfied. So if you said, well, hey, what was he like during the Clone Saga? There's going to be its own book for that. What was it? What were things going on for him by the time that he was with Gwen Stacy? There's actually an arc for that. So it helps you get your feet wet in and figure out what aspect or relationship you want to see about the character, and kind of lead you down that road. I know that for you were going to talk about, as far as your favorite character and your favorite story would be, I think you were talking about that earlier.
Well, Ultimate Spider-Man, or you talking about my
No.
comic?
Yeah, because I know you actually had your own recommendation for people that were interested in like the Hulk.
Yeah. You got your recommendation out the way, or you just giving that information now?
Oh, I mean, I like you. Go ahead and let everyone know what the mainstream thing that, hey, this is for the Marvel or the DC characters, and I can kind of go a little bit more indie on it.
All right. So he said, basically, get your little comic book out the way, man.
No. I'll just
I go hard to tell people what it really is, what they need to be reading.
No.
It's on your shelf.
I meant, hey, if you love Marvel but you want a self-contained story, I got you, bro. You're sitting in a chair that says Marvel right now. Hey. So I was saying, for what people would understand, tell them that.
Hold on, because I know it looked like I speak a good game, and I'm like, fuck these companies. This chair was a gift. Okay. And I appreciate and I love this person, my cousin, for giving me this gift. Okay. But I told her not to do it. I said, don't give me that shit. I hate that Spider-Man. This is a fucking Tom Holland Spider-Man. And that shit uncomfortable, but it's fresh. It look good on
and
screen.
That's why I say at least make the recommendation, because my parents know that I love comic books, but they know I love DC. I still got a Marvel chess set. And I still got this. It's down here. It's displayed because I know that they know that I like comic books, and I'm gonna say, well, hey, I applaud and I'm appreciative of your effort, even though all the stuff you see up here is DC.
Yeah.
I just say, hey, I acknowledge the fact that you know what my hobbies are, and it includes comic books.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying, from that perspective, give them your recommendation.
All right, people. So when I got into comics, or just as a kid watching this stuff and reading comics and playing video games, I was always drawn to Marvel. Okay, so I'm a Marvel guy. Like I said before, my favorite superheroes, I'll say top 3 in Marvel. Y'all ain't asked me all this, but to give you information on AJ, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, and Nightcrawler. I know Nightcrawler is a trash ass mutant. He the worst fucking teleporter that you can think of. But my guy looked cool. Okay, he worshipped the Most High God. All right, and then they gave him some swords later on to try to give him a little boost. But Nightcrawler, my guy. But anyway, one of the stories. So once again, like when I was getting into comics, I was like, okay, there's a whole lot. I don't know where to start, and I was like, okay, well, I know these superheroes. And when I planted Hulk, okay, so I was reading Hulk stories, and I was like, wow, this dude. So this is the fucking Planet Hulk. This would be considered a trade because it's a contained story, although it's not as like a volume. It's still the entire Planet Hulk story in this one book. And I enjoyed this story because, again, the Hulk is just a dope character because I guess you could like introverted people like myself. We ain't trying to be all around everybody. You just want to be left alone, do your own thing. That's all the Hulk asked for. But folks be fucking with him. Then you like, damn. So now I got to put hands on you. You brought the fight to me. Now I didn't handle it. Now I'm the bad guy. What the fuck? So in this situation, this kind of happened in the book before that. They came to Bruce Banner. They talked their real slick shit to him. Like, hey, man, we got some stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? You got that Hulk nigga in you. You know what I'm saying? We can't do it. He was like, we can't do it, Bruce. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to go up there and go handle it yourself. No, actually, they said it was some science shit. And they was like, you the only one. You the man for the job. You the perfect man for the job. That's what they said. So then he go up there. He found out it's a setup. This is fucking nasty robot thing going on. Again, this is before this. Okay. So I guess I shouldn't be telling too much about that. Long story short, the people that he thought was his homies then tricked him and sent them off to a planet. Okay. And they want to claim that we doing it for your good. This we got your best interest at heart. So we're going to send you off to a planet where you can be by yourself. You want to be left alone. I'm trying to sleep. There we go.
Bless you.
I appreciate it. So they was like, you want to be alone? We're going to give you that. So then the Hulk, they shoot him off to this planet. Shit.
Wow.
They send him off to the nigga. What you don't sneeze?
Yeah, that's it. Bless you, bro. Allergies, man.
Yeah,
you gotta take some clarity. You take some clarity.
And my shit was worse when I got to Texas. When I got here, and they was like, "Oh yeah, allergies gonna be crazy." And all that.
Yeah.
So,
it's awful. Yeah.
So in this story, you get to see a Hulk that has what do I want to say? Him and Banner have a mutual respect, a mutual understanding. Like, hey, this is a war planet. You know what I'm saying? Your little skinny ass Bruce Banner running around here we ain't gonna get by. All right, you're gonna have to let the Hulk, you have to let me control this body, and I'm gonna have to deal with shit. And then hey, this is like looking at it. So anyway, yeah, I'm going deep into it, but he becomes a gladiator. That's why you see all this type of, shit armor on him. And he even got some weapons and stuff. He becomes a gladiator. He basically has to fight for his freedom. And during that, he ends up fighting and building relationships with other people, start caring for people, saying that, okay, these people saw him as a savior, not a monster. And he was, he finally felt that value. He finally felt good enough about himself and being able for other people to see that. And for him to start doing good. So he had this. Okay, yeah. So I don't want to spoil too much, like you said, right? But you can go look this shit up on the internet. This story is old, but this is a story of, I think, a respectable Hulk. This is a great story because you finally get to see him as not a brute that's fucking everything up that the Avengers have to quell, have to tame, or get him to go back to Bruce Banner. This was a guy fighting for his life and ends up turning into a king. I will leave y'all the rest of the story, but the reason I hate Thor Ragnarok is because they took this fucking book and told that garbage ass story, and they reduced this Hulk right here, this beast right here. This is the realest Hulk you will ever see. They took him and turned him back to a tantrum throwing baby in that movie. Yeah, bro, I almost turned into a baby just having to explain that shit, man. I almost
Nah, I understand, but that's when you actually like something, and that's for people that don't really know comic books and comic book movies like that. When you see your character on screen and it's not at all what you read, the reaction is understandable. How they say this is garbage. This is not in any way a representation of the character at all. This is a completely different character you're showing me because nothing that's in the book that you're pulling this from is the way that it's presented on screen. So yeah, that you have your reaction to it because you know the character, that you really bonded with that story. And if you're going to tell that story, tell the story based on the source material. Don't shoehorn it into someone else's storyline and they're not even the hero of their own story, which, that tracks back all the way back to even the Buzz Lightyear conversation we had at the beginning of this whole string. As far as my recommendation,
so hold on. Let me
no, my bad. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a great book, but I mean, just to get y'all, interested, like this is some of the art. Now, I will say, I'm gonna let them know, Ego. Like I told you, my issue with American comics is, they're not consistent. Meaning, you got. I want to say there's one writer, but there's different artists. At some point, maybe the writer even switched, but I think for the most part, it's Greg Peck. I think it's his name. But they're not always consistent with the writers and the artists. So once you do run into a story to where it's pretty consistent, like you see it, you understand it. But yeah, the art might kind of change through it a little bit, but for the most part,
that's an excellent point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's the same feeling. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's this whole battle for, you get to see Hulk fight monsters in here, not some made up ass gods, or not made up, but not some fake story they done told. Like, he's real gladiator shit, and you see him with the people around him, who, you know what? That's wild. That's wild, because now I'm looking. This is somewhat of a spoiler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say this one character in here that since they, instead of making Valkyrie fucking black and virtue signaling by throwing a black character in there, you could have taken a black person and just gave her white makeup, or the gray makeup, the silver makeup, and made Kyra, or for who is an important character in this story. And that would have been representation, because you got a black person, but it's comic book accurate. And then we had a strong female in that character that didn't have, I don't know if Valkyrie had her hair turned to one side or whatnot, but I mean, Kyra already got the shaved head with the little ponytail. So it's like, bro, you know what? You finna go. It's
no, I got you. I see what you mean. But yeah, it's that again, that's another layer of being upset, is the fact that there actually are black characters, or characters that do have black features, and you don't even put them in. You rather race swap a character that you deem more prominent, instead of just saying, well, that's in the comic book, it's in the source material, or else if we want to make a more prominent character that is a minority, we should come up with our own and not steal from the source material and take creative liberties, because that's not going to fly. So, but yeah, see how excited, but that's how excited, but that makes you excited. You get into it because that's your favorite character. That's one of your favorite books. That's part of the great uniting thing about comics, is you can actually be interested in something. Hey, I'm guilty of not reading Planet Hulk, but just how excited you are, I'd actually check it out.
I suggest you do, bro, because they want to tell us, again, bro, you finna go, and I'm gonna be done. But like, they want to tell us we got these issues, we not representing these characters, and I'm like, bro, I can tell you good 5 females off the top of my head who, if I'm putting together a superhero team, the team ain't complete unless they own it. Kyra is one of those female characters. Any female that can go up with the Hulk is a fucking beast. And I ain't talking about just slapping she on her name and calling her She-Hulk. I'm talking about a real ass character that has powers and lore that sets her up to be that. So we been had strong females, and now y'all just pushing shit. Man, get out of here. But hey, when I said the white makeup or whatever, or the silver makeup, I ain't mean like white face.
No.
I know
that's the character. Okay.
Like how they did Gamora, and she was green all over, but she was a black lady,
Right.
But yeah, man, that's me. That's Planet Hulk. That was the first book that I purchased that got me going into comics heavy. And when you're knowledgeable of this shit and you watch these movies, it just pisses you off because you're like, damn, I know too much, man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But so, I mean, as far as my recommendation, it's only more indie because there's a point behind it. So my wife, we call her Shiro. She knew that I was into comics heavy, and actually it was her that actually encouraged me to actually open up these instead of just putting them in boxes like collectibles. She's like, well, hey, if they're action figures, pose them. So, and in a way, she's actually helped me with the display that I have. Like, this is actually the display cabinet that she bought and put together for me so that I could actually display them like this. And so part of the trouble I had was she's not into the typical comics regarding heroes and villains. She's into more of a good story revolving around horror. Like she loves vampires and werewolves. So I actually had to try to find these characters so that she would actually be interested enough to read it to see where part of my joy comes from reading the comics and understanding storylines and plot, things like that. So with that, I actually found this book called Redneck. So you definitely see this guy, looks like a vampire, looks like he's seen into a T-bone. That's probably a human leg or something like that. Let me see. Yeah, it might be it looks like it could be a jawbone. Anyway, so I told her, I said, hey, here's this book. It's about vampires that live in Texas. Why don't you give it a read? She actually loved it. I mean, it's still got the vampire lore of what makes a vampire, how do you become them. You either have familiars, you've got the person that made you is your father, and then they're their son. And so it goes into some of the relationships behind vampires, and you're like, why are they even in Texas? Aren't vampires from Transylvania? It's about, I think, 4 or 5 volumes, but they actually tell you as the story progresses how the vampire became a vampire, because most, if not almost all of them, were just people. They even explain to you the very first vampire, which is actually great because in this story, it isn't Dracula. And the way they explain it, you would actually like it because it's got religious elements in there. Mm-hmm. And so they give it the religious undertone for the explanation for the very first vampire and his role in the vampires that you see today. And so it's actually a really great story. I hope they come out with their next volume very soon, because the minute I got it, I originally got it for her, but I wound up pre-reading it before I gave it to her. So by the time I gave her volume 1, I was already on volume 3. And so she's actually caught up and she really enjoys the series. And so the main thing about comics is it doesn't always have to be about heroes and villains. Again, we're heroes, no capes. So the no capes part about it is, hey, we will tell you about stuff that doesn't even have to do with, superheroes at all. Just about, hey, why do you have vampires in Texas? And there's a story behind that. So that will be, my indie one that I would highly recommend because it's already got 5 volumes. It's self-contained. You don't have to worry about Batman showing up or Spider-Man just showing up in Austin, Texas for whatever reason. It's just vampires and how they survive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that Texas sun be knocking them vampires out.
Exactly. You're like, how in the hell are you going to have these vampires surviving in Texas? And they actually, they tell you and they explain first. Not just like, no, they're there. Just get over it. There's actually an explanation for how they survive in Texas.
Hey, this is random as hell, but compared to back home in Tennessee, bro, Texas is so flat and open country. I'm like, damn, why y'all ain't got no trees here, man?
Bro, it's weird. I know that Texas and Oklahoma is flat. Like I said, living in Philly for 12 years, you see the elevation, you'll see hills, you'll see some forests, you'll see it's like some actual like creeks and things like that. But out here, it's flat. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's just about it being about a part of the Great Plains geographically or what, but I mean, yeah, it's flat, which is great if you have like a car that's not going to be 4-wheel drive. You can definitely drive on this. You definitely chance some things, but yes, it is flat. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's flat out here. I
miss the trees and the greenery back home in the mountains and fucking spring water, man. But anyway, all right. I go off and get lost on some shit. But we're gonna go on and wrap this up, man. This has been a wonderful. That was you or Molly?
Who? That was probably. Oh, that was Molly. Then if I can't hear her, that's probably Molly. Like she's sleeping on the bed, just staring at me like a pervert.
Bro, that's Molly, bro.
Okay. Just weird. She's looking at me, you're like, what you doing there? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, man, we're gonna go and wrap this up. This has been a wonderful stream, Ego. I think we got to the topics that we wanted to for the most part. If we didn't, oh well, the conversation went on where it did. We will see y'all next week. I don't want to say what time, but we are being consistent by providing this content for y'all weekly. But we definitely, it will be the weekend. Again, we'll figure out what's our best time slot to do it. But it's been fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely, guys, for the people that do watch and do comment, if there's something that we didn't talk about that, you'd like us to expand more on, or if there's something that you saw and kind of want our input, feel free to comment on there, we could definitely look it up and make sure that we talk about it at the next stream that we have, because that we definitely want to be engaged with you guys, because if there's no you guys, we really don't have anything else to do. It's just shouting out and talking through the ether.
Yeah, and just me and you talking, which we could do that on our own fucking time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, that's all I got. People, you looking at this video after the fact, which I showed you, Ego. We get like good numbers, so people do go back and watch, or maybe it's the people that come in and out the stream. I don't know. I'm a boomer. I'm learning all this YouTube technology, analytic shit. But I do see that the channel's growing. I see more people with every stream. More like different people commenting. We appreciate this. We appreciate y'all coming here, talking to us, talking with us, chilling with us. I appreciate, I'm sure Ego does, y'all seeing value in what we're trying to provide. And we want to keep this up so that y'all keep coming back.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for tuning in. For how long? If you watched the whole stream where you caught the 15 to 20 minute segment that you wanted to do and you're out, we still appreciate it regardless.
And even if you don't want to watch, just turn the shit on in the background and turn the volume down. Let us play.
let us be your background music. We appreciate it.
But all right, y'all, we're finna end the stream there. It's been fun. Peace.
All right, thank you guys.